anything wrong.
No, it was me last time. It was me, and
Yeah.
You got a major with me, I'm hard hearing, so I don't hear it. I didn't hear anything bad.
Yeah, you're a lot like my dad. Hard of hearing, less you were sneaking out and then he heard you.
Well, okay.
there was that creep in the window. You know?
Yeah, he was tuned in, I'm telling you. I told my mom she should have worked for the FBI. Another few seconds here. Surveil.
Do you have someone you want to point to?
We have we not had any applications?
Then you point your Johnson.
Amy, there's some up here.
We wanted to be.
Well,
Chris.
Chris.
Oh, face mask?
It would be nice. 'Cause he
Is that what you need?
Yeah, he did.
but he had some health issues at that point in time. Just to be honest. All right, are we all ready?
Take it, they're trying to run me.
All right, if everybody's here, I will call this meeting to order. It is 7:30 exactly. And if we'd please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
This way now, Terry.
Quick. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is roll call.
All right. Mayor Terry Wycombe,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jacqueline Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Durst,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner,
Here.
Councilmember Jabari Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember Linda Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg.
Here. Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is public comment. This is the time that if we have anybody that wants to talk about something that is not on the agenda, and we limit you to 5 minutes, but that is the time you can get up and say whatever you would like to say. And is there anybody here that would like to speak? And even though we know who you are, tell us who you are.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm Yvonne Johnson with Carbon County Economic Development. This altitude is killing me, you guys. I'm here tonight just to give you a little bit of a heads up of what we're going to be coming to council here in the near future. So this is just basic information, and then we'll go from there. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer it. I just want you to know that this is my very first big project, so bear with me because I'm learning as well. Through Carbon County Economic Development Corporation, we are requesting the City of Rawlins, to consider submitting a grant application to the Wyoming Business Council for a feasibility study. This study would provide the city for funding access to the improvements that are needed to upgrade the landfill site to allow for trash separation and recycling. Specifically, the grant would be to access the roads for road improvement in support of increased truck traffic and to improve broadband connectivity to the site to allow to track the trucks and home. Specifically in the interest by a local private companies investing in equipment and including trucks, machines, and other items. This will promote new jobs for both residents in trucking and operating the facility. To do this, Rollins will need to make improvements to the road infrastructure and create a broadband fiber line to the site. The feasibility study would be the first step in support of this opportunity that would identify the total economic benefit to the community and to lay the groundwork for future grant funding in support of this opportunity. The city is required to provide a local cash match of 25% of that grant, which we're going to be submitting for $25,000, which is approximately about $6,250 in support of that grant. The City Council will be required to pass a resolution expressing support of the grant and the application and hold a public hearing. The deadline of the application is December 1st, and if accepted, the work will begin the first quarter of 2022. If the city and CCEDC is successful in completing this feasibility study to better understand the opportunity and the cost, then we will seek to apply for funding through the Economic Development Administration to complete the work. The EDA provides funding for capital improvements in support for community economic development goals. So with that is just something for you to think about. And my board, I will be approaching my board on the 25% match, is that maybe we could do that economic development and the city of Rollins together would come up with the monies to make this happen. So there's just a little heads up to let you know what we're doing. Good? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, is there any other citizen that would like to come up and talk about something that is not on the agenda? Going once, twice, hearing none, we will move on. The next thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes. I would entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes of August 17, 2021 as presented.
Second.
The motion been made and seconded to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes of August 17, 2021 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes. I don't know why I got logged out. I'm logging back in now.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you. All right, next thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Councilman Smith.
I move that we approve the agenda for Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 regular meeting with the addition of under number 7, new business, addition of number D, bid for deconstruction, safe removal, transportation, and reconstruction of structural retaining wall located at 1127 9th Street, Rollins, Wyoming.
Okay. There's been a motion made and seconded, and excuse me, I don't know what that motion was. I'm sorry.
Patty.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is here. to add there's been a motion made and seconded to add to our agenda a bid for deconstruction, safe removal, transportation, and reconstruction of a structural retaining wall located at 1127 9th Street in Rawlins, Wyoming. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Okay, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the Rawlins Shooting Range Advisory Board. I would entertain a motion for Councilman Gardner.
I move to remove Harold G. Kostick from the Rawlins Shooting Ranges Advisory Board effective immediately.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded to remove Harold G. Kostick from the Rawlins Shooting Range Advisory Board effective immediately. Is there any discussion? Councilman Smith?
Mayor, I'm sure you probably want to re-advertise this, but we also had one person who had interest from the last two appointments that we had to the Shooting Range Advisory Board, and that was Mr. Jackson, Murray Jackson. And I think possibly he probably still wants to stay on or be reappointed or come back on the board if we would do that. So I just would like to make that recommendation to you.
How long do we hold on to the applications before we have to re-advertise? Can you answer that, Amy?
I don't think a procedure or policy's been established. So it would be this council, if you have a qualified candidate, I would advertise it so that others have the opportunity. And then if you have multiple people, but I would encourage that person to still be in the hopper.
But your advice is to re-advertise it. Okay, thank you. Councilman Weisenberg?
Yes, Amy, another question is for removal of this individual, is that okay to do? I know if it's in their bylaws, I know we had been through that on planning and zoning and everything also. I just want to make sure the legalities are there too to be able to allow that.
Actually, read my mind. I just whispered to the city manager. This is established in the bylaws. However, there is no authority for removal of a board member. Carbon County went through that with the hospital board a number of years ago, and the city as well. And so it's essentially council's pleasure. You do have a bylaw that was adopted by the council. You have a recommendation. However, if it was challenged, it would be very difficult for us to uphold that.
And also, has there been contact made to this individual?
The shooting range advisory staff have tried to reach to them several times and have not been successful.
Let's see right here in the background here, it says all attempts to contact them have not been successful.
Any more discussion? Councilman Smith?
So, Amy, I would ask then, should we maybe establish a procedure and then we come back and revisit this issue then? Is that what you're saying to us?
What I would recommend in this scenario is that we provide the applicant due process and identify to him notice and opportunity for hearing. We would send him a certified letter and ensure that he received personal delivery. If that was unsuccessful, we have used police department on city matters for personal delivery as well. But in this instance, it is in their bylaws. However, if you were challenged, it would be very difficult for you to overcome that challenge. But essentially, in this instance, that's what I would recommend. It's better to be safe than sorry. I know you want active board members. It's very important to have a quorum. But unfortunately, when it comes down, we don't have the foundational support to do that.
But in order to have that foundational support, wouldn't we have to change the state law? That's the way it was with the county. And so we changed it because we had a county up north that had the same problem, and they helped us get it changed through the legislature. And then the next year, that commissioner got elected as a legislator and changed it back, just so you know. But in this particular case, this is just my thoughts. They've tried to contact this gentleman. He hasn't been reactive to them at all. They haven't gotten to get a hold of him. Their bylaws say that he can no longer be on there. Worst case scenario is he comes back and says, you, the city council, didn't have the right to kick me off, so we have to put him back on. So I don't look at it as a huge risk myself. We just might have to reappoint him to the board. But Councilman Smith?
Yes, Mayor, I think there's a difference between an advisory board that we have established ourselves rather than a statutory one that's created by the state. And the hospital board is created by the state. We can establish our own advisory board, so I think we're probably more safer going forward than we would be if we don't do anything.
It is different than say a hospital board member. An advisory board is totally different. I guess we can just open on any more discussion. Open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Are you serious? I vote yes. It keeps kicking me out for some reason.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes. There was 5 yeas and 2 nays. The 2 nays, which was Vice Mayor Jacqueline Wells and Council Member Chris Weisenberg. Everybody else voted yes.
Okay, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the update of fire district for Carbon County. What in the world, this computer, man. We'll hear from Commissioner Travis Moore.
No, I'm serious. Technology.
Check. Oh, I got you. Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council, good evening. I'm here this evening as a representative of a couple different organizations, one being the Carbon County Commission. I was one of the 2 that was asked to work with all the different fire chiefs, and then again with COG, as multiple presentations have taken place over the last 2 months in that organization regarding the fire district. And I believe Chief Schumacher was that last spring, that first chiefs meeting. Over the last little while, we've met quite a few times with the chiefs, just talking about the feasibility, the pros, the cons, all the different types of things that go with the fire district, and working with 10 different municipalities in the county. You can see how that gets pretty complex pretty fast. But over the course of those meetings, the chiefs came up with some recommendations for their own municipalities on how they wanted to move forward with that. They came up with a list of pros for the fire district, some cons for the fire district, and then we got together at the first COG meeting and talked about all those things. And then just like a lot of other things in government, we talked about it for a really long time, and then we were just going to go about our business and nothing was going to happen. So we set up another COG meeting to that end to put some action and a deadline and that kind of thing together of what is out there. So in the interest of cooperation and transparency, I'm here this evening to relay some of that information to you. If you have questions, I'm sure I can forward you the big slide presentation that we had that was put together by Chief Rutherford over the years of doing that kind of stuff. The fire warden did that for us, but it's more of the institution of that, because this has been an ongoing discussion, I believe, for almost 40 years in terms of fire protection in Carbon County. I'm here this evening. There are a couple different kinds of ballot initiatives that could take place for something like this. The first is that we would draw a box around the boundary of Carbon County, and then we would need 25% of 25% in terms of petition signatures that would represent 25% of the land value of all the things around that particular area. It would have to be all of us. It's an all or nothing type gig, in which case then that ballot initiative would go on the ballot in November of 2022. And as you would imagine, that marketing would be very specific for that stuff and to push the signature campaign to accomplish such things. The other one is by resolution, which would include only unincorporated Carbon County. And at the same time, that would take place through the Carbon County Commission. Now, being that this has been up and down twice already in different ways of doing that, and maybe even more than that in terms of the fire district failing, the commission was very hesitant to say, well, yeah, we're just going to do that. Well, we needed the blessings of and or input from all the different municipalities. So at the last COG meeting, all the chiefs and all the people that were at the last COG meeting were then going to go back to their constituents and talk this over, whether they said, hey, we want to join the fire district, or hey, we would prefer if the commission would do that on our behalf, and or hey, we don't really have a dog in the fight. We're not going to take a position on this thing because we're not going to vote on it in our town, or however that might work. So this is mainly informational with those pieces. One of the major differences from last time to this time is that we have workable contract in place with Medicine Bow, with the county right now, that seems to be going fairly well. And the folks at Medicine Bow, in the 2 meetings that I've attended and spoke to them and got their input, reported those things. That's not coming from me from the outside. And we're in the process of negotiating another contract very much like that one with the town of Bags. So down the road, if the district were established in the unincorporated Carbon County part of it, the different towns could then contract services with the district, much like they're doing now with the county, to their own benefit. So that's where we are. That's the end of my report, as Lenny Lehman says all the time. And I'm open for any questions. If I hope I can answer them. I don't know.
Councilman
I guess the only
Martinez.
question I have, and I'm not really involved with the fire part of it, but if we established a fire district, how's that going to help the city of Rawlins?
Good question. I answered that question several times myself in terms of, as a citizen of Rawlins, coming from a municipality that would not necessarily benefit from joining the district, because, let's not kid ourselves, the budget for the Rawlins Fire Department is just as good as any money that the district is ever going to raise. So with that in mind, it comes in terms of recreation. The better training and equipment and that kind of cooperation through those rural departments means that you're going to have qualified folks if you have to make the phone call when you're not here. I don't leave the city limits a lot on business, but I do for a lot of other things. And unfortunately, sometimes it's crossed my mind a time or two, what would happen if I would have had my heart attack here as opposed to sitting at my kitchen table? And those are the types of things that a fire district and like services, would assist with.
Go ahead.
One more thing. I'm going to say last year, when Scott Hannon was still here and we had the last fire chief, they brought up establishing a fire training ground for all 10 municipalities if they wanted to join, which in turn would, if it's done right, would allow them to qualify and go up the ladder. I still think that would be the way to go. I think that Rollins has the grounds and the people to start it. I would have to bring people from outside in to help us. I've been to these academies before. I know how they work. I think that by doing that, I think that would really, really help the small towns where they can't really afford to get the training that they need. And we could provide it in one big package. Say every spring or every fall they meet and they do whatever they got to do to get qualified. And so that was my take, and it seemed like COG at that time, they were, yeah, let's do it. Then it just kind of faded away, and then the next thing I know, this came up. So
And those
I
positives,
supported our fire department too.
Councilman Martinez, I was remiss, the fire district, regardless, this time around would come with paid staff. And I didn't go into that, but there'd be a boss, there would be a training officer, there would be a couple other paid positions like a mechanic and those types of things to make the thing run, an administrative person that would take care of all the data entry and all that kind of stuff. So then you'd have centralized data entry to take care of all the people in all the different municipalities in the district and those who contract with it, to track the funding, to do all those types of things. And one of the other pieces that we didn't have last go around was Lenny Lehman, the Office of Emergency Management, that kind of stuff, to collaborate with exactly what you're talking about for that training network.
I just know that in looking at the proposal for the fire district, the full 3 mills for the entire county added up to be like 1.9 million, 1.6 million.
Yes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Somewhere like that. The problem is in Rollins, our budget's 1.3 million or something. So for sure, our fire protection would go down if in fact we would join the fire district. I'm not against the fire district. I think some of the smaller towns that could would really benefit from a fire district. Personally, I'm telling you, I don't think Rollins would. I also believe, like Councilman Martinez was talking, we do have a wonderful training area that should be used by more people than just Rollins. And in all of this conversation, that should be somewhere. I don't know where, but it could help individual fire departments or a fire district. But personally, I can tell you, looking at the numbers, it would not be a good fit for Rollins. Vice Mayor Wells, you had something?
You might have said something, but is it all or nothing?
No,
Is all Carbon County or?
No, the only thing that's all or nothing, the only thing that's all or nothing is if we did the petition. So if the municipality of Rollins said, geez, that's the great idea, and as I pointed out before just a little bit, Mayor Wycombe was very astute in pointing those things out. It has to be 100% of the municipalities to do the petition piece. But if one or two did that, we'd have to go the petition route. We can't mix and match resolution. It has to be resolution or petition to set that up. And then over time, I mean, we could get petitioners down the road depending on how things go with some of these contracts and stuff, but that's a hypothetical if it passes and if all these other things take place, and the board that is elected at the same time as the passage, puts those types of things in the bylaws to allow it. But the interesting piece with the petitioning process is that each time that happens, their municipality, would get the signatures and do the stuff. They would vote, but then any other municipality that's already in that situation would get to vote also to let them in, which I would hope, in the spirit of cooperation, they would do so.
Councilman Smith.
First of all, I think I want to say to you that I think a fire district for all the other communities is probably a very good thing, because I've worked with that in the past, with the fire departments in the past. But my question to you is going to be this. Is the 3 mills going to be more money for all those fire or all those fire communities or fire departments? Or Are you saving money doing this at the county level, or is it, you're just generating that 3 mills and then you wouldn't have to finance it through the county, or are they gonna get more money, I guess, is my main question.
One of the main arguments for a fire district entirely is that volunteerism is going down and the cost of operation is going up. So many of the municipalities, all that kind of stuff, that's the pickle that we're in. The mills that would be raised, just to elaborate a little bit on the time frame, this would hit the ballot one way or the other in 2022, November 2022, in the next general election. That board then would be elected. It would take 2 years to raise the full amount of money to start actually doing real fire operation stuff. So that first 2 years, while those taxes are being collected over time, to stand that up, they'd start with the board and the boss and some of those people, some of that stuff, but they would hire at their discretion as things came up to set everything up. After that, the bylaws are written, that kind of stuff, it'd be up to that board, how that's going to happen. I can tell you, if in fact some of the contract work that's been done in fire and is being done with Bags and Medicine Bow, there were lease to own type deals for equipment, that kind of stuff, which then would be the same type of thing from the county to the district, from the district to those communities, but all of which have the legalese of, after so much time, if this isn't working out or any party backs out, the county keeps what they have, or however that works.
Yeah, what I want to convey to you, I don't have any opposition to all the other communities coming together to form that district. But I do think it would put the city of Rollins Fire Department at a disadvantage in terms of what we do financially.
Sure.
But we would very much, I'm not speaking for everybody else, but for me, I would like to see us continue to have a good relationship, MOUs wherever we need to have them, and to support one another. If you have a fire district there and we stand alone, we still would like to make sure that we have MOUs and continue to have a good relationship.
With the idea that nobody does have to stand alone.
Right.
You bet.
Councilman Weisenberg.
Yeah, I guess my question is you're talking about a board, is it going to be more of like a joint powers type board through the different municipalities, or is it going to be run from the commissioners?
Well, it wouldn't be run from any. They would be independently elected through the ballot. So those folks would, with that initial election, and let me back up in time a little bit. The last time the fire district came up and hit the ballot, they had 3 folks identified to represent certain geographical areas to cover that stuff. One of the things that they pushed there was an in-depth knowledge of fire, all that kind of stuff. One of the first things that would have happened with that board is to expand it to 5 people, from what they've told me, because it didn't actually happen, so it's hard to rewrite history. It didn't happen. But moving forward with this one, that's what they want to present this time on the ballot, is a 5-member board representing the 4 major population centers or areas of Carbon County. So you'd have Snake River Valley, Platte River Valley, Hanna, Medicine Bow, Elk Mountain, that area, and then Rollins, and then 1 at-large member that they would be elected on the ballot during that general election by their electors of unincorporated Carbon County, if we went with the resolution, or any municipality that opted into the fire district to do that, getting their 25 of 25 and so on.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Quite welcome. And just to finish up, the reporting kind of stuff, any kind of consensus position, no position, we like this better than we like that kind of stuff, feel free to send me an email, either through the mayor, through Mr. Metcalf, however you guys want to do that, or you can just show up at the 15th at COG in Elk Mountain, the garden spot. Fantastic meeting grounds there for COG, next week. So either way.
Can you send that slideshow
Oh, you bet.
via email, please? Thank you.
Sean, do you have it, or you want me to send it?
I also have it.
You have it? Do you want to send it out?
Yes, sir.
Because I love forwarding emails. You bet. I'll give it to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, next thing on the agenda is discussion of term limits. Presenter is Daryl Garner.
Water tour?
Huh?
Hold on, we skipped the water tour.
Oh, I did. I guess just mentally
Water tour.
don't want to talk about it, but water tour report, I will, I guess, the way it's written is the council people that went on that tour. I will tell you this. Our water system, we have to change priorities. From what we thought we had as a number one, we have to change our priority. It has to be water. It has to be water. Anytime you guys want to jump in that we're on that tour, feel free, but I can tell you it was, during budget time, we were told that there were some issues that down the road we'd have to fix. I am telling you, we have a $1 million gallon a day leak between here and our reservoir that could blow out at any given second. It's been leaking so long, the beavers have built a dam. There is moss there. There are ducks there. We have made a lake. It's 2 super major leaks. The wells, the water treatment plant itself looks in pretty good shape, and once we get those other filters, I will feel comfortable that that's up to snuff. But we have to get the water from there to here. It's urgent, folks, and deferred maintenance is, I don't even know how to say deferred maintenance times 10, but it is a problem, and we are going to have to change direction a little bit, or we're going to be in trouble. We have enough water for 100,000 people. We just need to get it here. And when you go out there and realize the pipe is 20 feet deep and it's making lakes, we have a problem. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I was, for years, of course, I have had a close connection with water treatment folks, but I've always understood that we had a wood stave pipeline that was built in 1920 something. It's 98 years old, but it's been kept together by rebanding and maintenance. But I have to tell you that it's not just that wood stave pipeline. It's the wells that we put in 1987 or 77. I can't remember which date, but those are unsafe. I think what I feel worst about is the fact that we have all of the gallons of water that we're wasting, and it's going down in 3 different areas. And it's very obvious we have some really major issues. So I think what we have to think of is we need to make sure that we have water for our community next year by fixing some of the things that we can fix, but come up with a long-term strategy. And we have 32 miles of pipeline that we're going to have to take a look at. So it's a major, major issue. But on the other hand, I don't think we can continue just sending our staff out to Band-Aid this thing anymore because it isn't working, hasn't worked, but we were never told that it was severe as it was. We were told we had a priority. We did switch up some funds to cover that priority, but it was never like, hey, we have really big leaks out here. But I think I was just, I don't want to use the word mind-blowing because I've used that too much, but I am really appalled at the condition that it's in. So I really would like, if you can, those folks who couldn't go, if they could just maybe take someone and go out and look at it again. So you'll know what we're talking about because it's wasteful.
Councilman Garner?
I'd just say the same thing Terry said, or Mr. Weckland. amount of water we're losing it's crazy. If you can look at pictures all day, you can watch the little videos. It doesn't do it justice until you're standing at the site watching the water come out of the ground. You can hear it. You don't have to be standing 50 feet away. You can hear it coming out. It's coming out so quick. So I think it has to be number one. We need to adjust everything for the priority and move it up. And agree with Linda as well. We need to start planning ahead for future repairs or replacement of that section of pipe. And I wouldn't say the wood stave is, it's important to do, but it is definitely not the issue here in any way from what we've seen that day. So,
And to explain to people, this wood stave pipeline, the wood that is still up there is the pipelines that go out into these pockets in the prairie, basically, that come down off of the hill, and it drains those small ponds into a pipe that goes down to the reservoir. That's where some of the water comes from. Some of the water comes from 3 giant artesian wells that are below that wooden stave pipeline. And then from there, it goes down to the city reservoir. And from there, it jumps in this 24-inch metal pipeline and that metal pipeline is the one that has the 2 huge or 4 huge leaks. I mean, when you have a pipe that's 20 foot deep and it's causing a lake, it's a mess. And so as you know, there's no one's standing still on it. There's been a lot of grants applied for and such like that. So I don't want people to think that we're all just standing around freaking out. It's not that at all. There's been movement already to correct some of these problems. And as Councilman Smith said, if we can plug the 2 leaks, we know that the 2 other filters are going to have actual filters in them and be usable. Right now we're using 1 and part of 1, and it should be 4. And when we're done, it will be 4. We'll have the capacity to clean the water. We'll plug those 2 leaks, the 2 major leaks, then we'll have the water here. Then the rest of it just needs to take place in an orderly fashion, but that will get us to where we don't have water rationing next year. Councilman Smith.
And I'd like to add too that I think that we need to really look at using raw river water on our cemetery, move that project up a little bit, so that we're using raw water on our parks as much as possible, where we can plug that into the distribution system. But we have an engineer that was with us from out of Laramie, and his expertise is in water. He was quite knowledgeable. We learned a lot from him. But I think that's one of the things we really need to look is how can we not only, it's not a chicken and egg thing, but it's fix what we have that's really bad, get our treatment plant filters back up and running, see what we can do to expand that capacity, maybe with 2 new smaller ones that we may have that we can get. And then look at prudent use of raw water versus treated water so our costs go down in that area. And try to do it with as much grants as we can do so that we don't have to raise the water rate to atrocious amounts of money.
Councilman Garner was first, and then you next.
No problem.
One of the things I was thinking about, and I think Linda's kind of touching on the subject, is being prepared for the next time this happens, or worst case scenario, if we can't get that water from the very end of the line to us, and we have to rely on the other holding ponds that have the high turbidity and everything. If we can reduce that usage that would go to the parks and go to the cemetery, and that reduces the impact on those filters. Because we're not using that precious water. We can store a lot more, and maybe we work on an emergency response to that effect, if we had a full failure on that pipeline. We could have a full failure right now, we could fail at any moment. And my understanding is we're out of water. We out of water in a day or two, I think, if we had a full failure. So, and that's why it's so important that we get this done. And I was going to ask, Sean, do you have any information on the procedure that they're looking at doing to repair the line? I think one of the things a lot of people are asking is what's in place. And I think if they've seen, understood the reason why we can't shut down. We can't shut down because if it takes so many days to get it done, we run out of water. If the procedure we're looking at doing is a live fix, so I can't remember what he called it. Where I work, we call it a stopper bypass. They put a pipe around the pipe and they cut into it. And while it's running, they stop the main flow. It redirects, goes around where the leak is, and redirects it back into the other good section of pipe. And maybe that would be a good thing to show people. That's what the engineers are looking at. A little more transparency on it.
I think you just hit it on the head there. That's where Mark Lopes right now is working with an engineer to get that plan in place so that we can fix as many of the leaks as we can prior to winter coming. And then appreciate the other comments too, that we are going after millions of dollars, and be it CDBG, split funds, to be able to not just Band-Aid, but to fix fix really, really fix these issues that we're seeing. So.
And it's important for people to realize also that this raw water that's going to the golf course right now, it was part of the 6-penny tax project. And so that's just a matter of time before we will have the money to do that. We don't have to go out and get a grant to hook that to the cemetery. That part's a done deal. We just, collection of sales tax and such like that will cure that. But they say that's 1 million gallons a day also. Councilman Martinez was next, I'm sorry.
I guess what I gotta say, this problem just didn't start this year. If we would have received the information that we received this year, just maybe a council, whether it was this one or last year's or the year before, would have sat down and said, hey, this is a priority in the budget. And we need to be looking at fixing the water system, because without water, we don't have a community. And so I guess I'm not an expert in the water system, and I ain't going to get up here and say we ought to be doing this and this. We just hired a gentleman. I'm very impressed with the information that he's given us, and hopefully we can continue to get the right information. He can tell us what we need to do as council members to come up with the funding to get this job done. Whether it means cutting back on some other things, that so be it, but water's the priority. And that's all I have to say.
Well, and having a new grant writer's not going to hurt a thing also. Councilman Smith.
And I don't want to give the impression that we don't have resources for plenty of water. We have a lot of water rights to coming from the river, North Platte River. And but the problem with that is the turbidity and the inability of our treatment plant to treat the turbidity and with the kind of method that we use there. So we do have to blend them, and one of the reasons we didn't have the amount of water that we really needed to fill tanks was because we couldn't get enough water from the springs to mix with our raw water to go into the treatment plant. And when it did get into the treatment plant, we didn't have enough of the filters working. So it was what I call a perfect storm. It all came together at the same time, and so we had to go ask our community to help us out. So I don't want to do that next year.
I think we can fix it.
So,
all right.
thank you.
Anything else? Moving on. Next thing is discussion of term limits for city council members. Presenter, Councilman Garner.
Thanks, Mayor Wycombe. So I just wanted to bring up term limits. Is one of the things that I think it's important to have a limit on how long the council person can be in the council. I think about 8 to 12 years seems like a pretty good number. I talked to Amy about this, and one of the ways that we could do this is through a charter ordinance to get this passed or to get the change made. I kind of read over how the charter ordinance works. It sounds like it would go to the city, and they would vote on it, and then that's how we would get it. We could put it on the ballot and then get it passed that way. Is that how that works, Amy?
So a charter ordinance is traced back to home rule, which is found in the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Wyoming is one of those states that does honor home rule and provide home rule authority to the subsites or local governments. In this instance, home rule may apply. It's not explicit in the statute. If you go to the statute regarding local affairs, it talks about 4 procedures or 4 primary areas for home rule powers. Those are structural, functional, fiscal, and personnel. You then have to go through the other statutes to try and find opportunities where it's closely aligning with this. Obviously, the state has tried to initiate ballot referendums to initiate a term limit statewide, and those have been unsuccessful. If you turn to Wyoming Statute 2223-202, it specifically identifies municipalities made by charter ordinance and acts pursuant to Article 13, Section 1C, which is your home rule authority of the Wyoming Constitution, elect and conduct elections for the office or for municipal ballot propositions in the same manner as statewide elections. So that opens the door to the elections component for local authority. Does it clearly, explicitly say that you have that authority? It does not. This would be one of those situations where the council would be inferring that you have that authority, and then if someone challenged it, you would face that challenge. Very similar to what you did with flow control. And so in this instance, there are requirements set forth in the statute regarding charter ordinances. Each charter ordinance shall be titled and may provide that a whole or any part of the statute which would otherwise apply to a city or town has specifically designated in the ordinance shall not apply. Such ordinance may provide other provisions on the same subject. Every charter ordinance shall be published once a week for 2 consecutive weeks in an official city newspaper or official newspaper. No charter ordinance, this is the important part, no charter ordinance shall take effect until the 60th day after its final publication. If prior thereto a petition signed by a number of qualified electors of the city equaling at least 10% of the number of votes cast at the last general municipal election shall be filed with the office of clerk of any town or city, demanding that such ordinance be submitted to referendum, then the ordinance shall not take effect unless approved by a majority of the electors voting thereon. Such referendum election shall be called within 30 days and held within 90 days after the petition is filed. And an ordinance establishing procedures and fixing the date of such election shall be passed by the governing body and published once a week for 3 consecutive weeks in the official city newspaper. The question on the ballot shall be, shall charter ordinance number such and such, and then title take effect. The governing body would then submit without a petition any charter ordinance to referendum election under the procedures set forth, and the charter ordinance shall take effect if a majority approves, a majority of the electors voting thereon approves. An approved charter ordinance after becoming effective shall be recorded by the clerk in a book of newspaper for that purpose. A certified copy of the ordinance shall be filed with the Secretary of State, and each charter ordinance enacted shall prevail over the prior act of the governing body of the city or town. So if you do decide to proceed with the charter ordinance, that would be the procedure that would follow for this and every other charter ordinance. Charter ordinances have been adopted throughout the state, and home rule has been upheld through case law, through appeals process. But again, this would be one of those scenarios where it's not inherent, doesn't specifically identify that authority, you would be inferring.
Thank you, Amy. Some of the reasons I think it's a great idea, you get new faces, you get new ideas. You know, the council's in place too long, I think things can get, they get kind of stale. Things, you lose that momentum. And with new people in, I think you get that energy that comes with a new person that you know, drives other council to try new things and to new, you know, have new ideas. So I guess tonight I just wanted to open it up for discussion and see what everybody else thought about it.
Councilman Durst?
I don't have a problem with it. I think it'd be fine. I guess my suggestion would be to probably put forward the actual way you want it to read. So, I mean, my suggestion would be 3 to 4 terms. You know, maybe if you take 2 terms off, it resets. You know what I'm saying? Just put the whole package together and let's look at whatever the final, with the notion of it. I don't have a problem with it.
You know, I don't have a problem with it either. What I do have a problem with is I know that when you run for office, the constituency that you have out there, I guarantee you will kick your rear end out if you're not doing the right things.
Right.
That's the term limit. Getting up there and representing the people that gave you the job. I've been on this position for 38 years, and it ain't gonna kill me if I got kicked off. But I can tell you, I still have a lot of ideas.
Right.
But I can't get the council to pass them. A good example was the trailer ordinance. That was a new idea. But what was the vote? You see what I'm saying? You never lose ideas because your constituency bring them to you. You know, I had a call just this day that we should put more drinking water, drinking water areas around the parks. That's not a bad idea, but can I get it passed? Do we want to spend that kind of money? We have a 7-member council, and 1 member that has an idea has to convince the other 7 members to go. But I believe that term limits are the people. The people that if you're not doing their job. I challenged the water system one time, and I'll tell you what, they went door to door and they kicked my rear end clear out. Okay, those things happen. That's the way it works. So term limits isn't really helping anybody except it's putting new people in a position where they have to learn the different ways to go about introducing ordinances and who do you talk to about getting an ordinance on the floor and getting involved. That's a learning process. But ideas, no, you never run out of ideas because your constituency are going to remind you that we need better streets or we need a new park or we need this. And then it's my job to bring it up. And so anyway, that's my take on it.
Term limits have been something that's been discussed for a long time, and I can think of a lot of funny jokes like, do you really want your government run by beginners? There's been like with this board, we got new people, we got old people. Old people point at me. But we've got people that have been on here a long time. Sometimes it's a good mix. I could argue both sides of it, but I too think that term limits are called elections, but that's just my 2 cents worth there. Any more discussion? Councilman Weisenberg?
I'm not necessarily opposed to a term limit, by no means, but the fact is you have to have constituents in our community that want to step up or are going to step up to the plate to fill the position that we filled. and want to serve the community in a positive role as such. And you know, we see that in a lack of volunteerism anyways throughout the community in different aspects of boards and everything else. So I think before anything is set forth for term limits and stuff, there needs to be a lot of active people, you know, to step forward and fill the shoes that's being filled now.
Okay, anything else?
I just want to say I support term limits.
You what?
Support term limits.
Okay. Councilman Garner?
One of the things I think the reason you don't see a lot of people run is they see who's running and they think, I don't have a chance. You know, we live in a small community. Who you are, your name, that's what they see. They're familiar with it. And they're like, I voted for him last year. I checked the box. You know, you're familiar. It's that happens. And I think this is a way to just, it's not going to fix it. And I agree. The constituents should vote, and they should, if they want you out, they should vote you out, and they should put somebody else in. But I think the term limits are a good step to help with that procedure. And I like the idea from Aaron with maybe it's a 4-year break, and then you can run again for another 8 consecutive. You know, just to give the break, and then I don't know. But I appreciate everybody's input on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy stop by and ask me if he should run for city council, and I said, next time, I said, absolutely, which I would tell everybody that. Then he drove immediately to DeBari's house and said, Terry said I should run against you. That just happened this week. So there are people wanting to run. It's a true story. I had to tell it. Councilman Smith.
I guess I've watched politics for years and years and years. And yeah, I'm one of those old bats, but you know what? I think you need a mix of historical background, because if you get all new staff, who's going to be there to tell someone and guide people through things? But on the other hand, I truly believe in the voting public, and if you're not doing your job or they want to change, they're going to step up and do it. Look at Congress and look what they've done. I mean, not that that's all good either, but on the other hand, I believe if the state law was in place, then it would give us the authority to do it, and I'm not in favor of doing a charter ordinance to do something like this. But if it were a state law, then that might be a little bit different. So that's kind of, I'm wishy-washy on it, but I guess mostly I don't care for it.
Okay, we're going to move on. Next thing on the agenda is discussion of one-way streets in the city of Rollins. And again, that was brought up by Councilman Garner.
Thanks, Mayor Wyckoff. So this was discussed in our urban systems meeting. I've had people bring up the Mountain View area for the congestion in it. It's pretty bad. I went up there the day I got the call just to go see, because I don't go up there very often. And I wouldn't want to live over there with the streets the way they are and the congestion that they have. It's pretty bad. Just in the 20 minutes I drove around, I watched 2 people leave the sidewalk to walk around campers or vehicles or snowmobiles blocking the sidewalks. And they have to walk all the way out on the street, around the vehicles parked in the street, and then get back on the sidewalk to continue. And I know we don't have sidewalks everywhere in the neighborhoods, but I think it's a big issue, and it keeps coming up. It's part of the trailer ordinance you tried to pass. And I think this could assist with that issue with the trailers that we're having the one-way traffic. You know, one of the other things is safety. I have a document from Sean. I should have shared this with everyone. He did a presentation showing the pros and cons. One of the pros.
It's on here. It's on here.
Oh, you guys have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna open that one up quickly. Thank you. It would help with snow removal. One of the issues that with the snow removals, they're not designated routes. This would only be when there's drifting, and if there's drifting, it's going to be a nightmare for snow removal anyway. So it would help with that. Backing out of driveways is safer with one-way streets. They only have to look one way. One of the arguments was for the cons. Let's see, it was about the fire.
Fire needs to use it 20 to 25 feet unobstructed to get a fire apparatus. And from 8 to 16, we will never have 25 to 20 feet unobstructed on any of those streets because we have cars on both sides and trailers, campers. There's no way.
Okay.
And that's a law.
Councilman
Weisenberg.
Weisenberg.
Yeah, I live in this area. No, I know. I live in this area, and I've talked to multiple people, and I'm not even gonna say I agree with the one-way street. I do understand it's congested like that. We do have an ordinance on the books now, and it's not being enforced, right? Because the ordinance actually states that you cannot dual park, right? If it's for 25 feet. So you have to stagger park, which increases flow of traffic, right? So I do remember when I was younger, the street, what is it, Mountain View Boulevard, it's now one way. I can't remember if that's Mountain View or Colson or something, right? That used to be two-way, okay? And I can tell you, my personal opinion, I could get through there better when it was two-way than I can with the one-way street. It's more congested now, in my opinion, than it was then. You could actually get two people through there back then. I mean, it was still crowded, but you could. I've had multiple people come and tell me they don't want this in our area, so I would have to agree with them people and say that.
Councilman Durst first, and then you.
I'm definitely in favor of this. I have, everybody I've ever talked to through that ward has all been in favor of this, or very supportive of it. I think it would solve, I honestly think that this could potentially help a lot with the trailer issues. I mean, there's just a million things that I think this would open up a ton of more positives than negatives. And I would love to see this really explored and looked at very heavily, or whatever phrasing you need to hear, but I love this idea, and I would strongly like people to look into this. I highly support this.
Councilman Martinez.
And I don't have a problem with it either. This has been brought up 3 or 4 times in my career as a council member. Each time the residents down there fought it. But having said that, we only have 2 choices. We're either going to widen those streets down there, or we're going to have to go one way. And it seems to me that going one way would be the easier way of going about doing it. But like I say, I know that those trailers down there, I got more calls when I introduced the trailer ordinance. I got more calls from that area than anywhere in town. There's no way that a fire truck going one way and somebody coming the other is they're gonna have to get up on the sidewalk or find a spot to get out of the way, because it ain't gonna happen. And so I do think that maybe that's something that we need to be looking into with the residents in that area.
So can I suggest this, maybe that we ask the Urban Systems Committee would that be the group to go to study this, look at this, bring us some pros and cons, current ones? These here make sense on maybe what to do about that, because I know those streets are really narrow, and you know they're narrower than the underpass. They really are. Councilman Smith?
Yeah, I've spent some time up there recently, in that area. And I've driven down the street and yes, on both sides of the street, I could barely get, drive my car right down the middle of the street to get by in some areas. And I think also when we were discussing the trailer ordinance, the recommendation from some of our folks that spoke to us that evening, they wanted and did suggest one-way streets. If we couldn't do the trailer ban or ordinance, then they were for us looking at one-way streets. And I do feel that Urban Systems is the appropriate place. But I would be supportive. I'd certainly listen to both sides, but I think that those streets were made for Model Ts, 1920s, mostly up in that, not on the higher area, but down in some of the hillside areas, they're Model T streets and they're hard to navigate.
And just a safety issue, just getting snow removal is one of my pet peeves. I mean, we live where we should be really good at snow removal. There are times when it's super dangerous. You have people that cannot, like in our area, that they've done really well lately. This last year has been awesome, but in the past, we've had times when if you didn't have a pretty bad four-wheel drive, you couldn't leave your house. And we had people living there that were older than us that didn't have a truck. If they had a medical emergency, they couldn't go. Well, that's what happens up there. They get snowbound, and with the trailers and whatnot, you end up with snow drifts and this and that. It's just dangerous. We need to ask the Urbans Committee. I believe we should have the Urban Systems Committee look at this and bring us some recommendations. Councilman Smith.
Just one thing too. A lot of the homes up in those areas too, there's no back alleys to them. So when we're doing this, I want to make sure that we're not inconveniencing or cutting off some, depending on which way it goes, one way, this way or this way, that we're not inconveniencing some of our elderly folks and they don't get the full use of their properties, I guess is what I'm worried about.
I'd like to.
Garner was next. I'm sorry.
I just have a quick question for the police chief and the fire chief, if you guys have a second. On here it says a safety issue with police and fire response going the wrong way to get to an incident. I understand it'll be forced, you're going to have the one-way street, but right now, with it being so congested, even if it's two-way, you're still going to run right into that same traffic that you would if it was a one-way. Am I wrong?
I think the issue there was us having to go around to go down the one-way street properly is one of the concerns we have.
Okay, just if you had it, can you go against flow? If
With emergency equipment on the grid.
Right, okay. So,
And to be honest with you, once again, it's one of those things that we do not, we don't teach that.
right,
It's almost like going straight to a red light just because you have lights and sirens on. You always go to a stop or yield hard because that's a safety issue.
right.
So,
Would it be any more impactful than it is now with how narrow the streets are, and your fire truck's going to be the only thing that fits anyway? So if it's two-way, you're still head on with the oncoming traffic. So
as maybe everybody in here doesn't know that I'm also on the Urban Systems crew. So I think we have some other options that we may be able to discuss.
okay,
I personally don't want to bring them out here again because we're in an uproar right now, especially when we have to look at all, from a full safety or emergency response situation. But I would be more than welcome or willing to work with you directly on this one.
okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on. Next thing on we're ready, right? Everybody got good? Okay. Next thing on our agenda is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have something for you to.
Oh, yeah. I would like to take time at this point in time to present this plaque to Linda Ann Smith. It was from WHAM for completing the LGL Program Award. It's quite a local government leadership program. She wasn't able to go to WHAM, and I'm super proud of Linda, and I would like to present you. I'm very proud of you, Linda. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you very much,
A lot
Mayor.
of dedication. Thank you, Sean.
So another thing, you may be wondering what I have stacked up right here. Just wanted to do a random thank you to City Council, Mayor and City Council. I know that sometimes your position is very challenging with everything that comes your way, and sometimes you don't always get just a nice thank you for what you do. And so on behalf of everyone here, we just wanted to thank you for what you do for the city and for the support that you give staff. And these are just some coffee mugs that have Rollins on it. So just want to thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean, thank you so much.
He knows how clumsy we are. So if might get home not right. Thank you.
Right, and the last item I had is I know that there was some conversation about food trucks, and I just wondered if we could, from staff's perspective, we just wondered if we could talk about that for a second and see what's tell us what you have interest in us exploring as staff, and we can take it from there.
Personally, I don't want to do anything with them. I think our food trucks are regulated by the state as far as their health. They have to have certificates. They have to have certain things in place. It's pretty stringent. I've had a couple of friends that had food trucks. They are a huge investment. It's like the word skin in the game was in an email I saw, and I got to tell you, if you're going to go buy a food truck, you got skin in the game. They're expensive. In order to run one, you have to go quit your job. You have to go get certificates from the state. You have to get license plates. You have to get sales tax licenses. You have to go by every single health rule that cafes have to go to. And I will tell you this, that I think that our music in the park, a lot of the reason that it is successful is because of the food trucks. I'm not saying I know everything about them, but I do know one thing, that in Rollins, we're really, really good at taking a business and adding extra layers of compliance to them to where we make it tougher for them to do business here. And that is one thing I absolutely do not want to do. That's all I got to say. Councilman Smith.
I have one question for the city manager. Don't we now have a business license for out-of-town people to come into City Hall and get a license before they can? So that would take care of some of the food trucks that come from out of town already. So I guess I'm feeling like they have to meet state requirements for the Department of Health, and then we're asking them to get the license already. And yeah, they're competition for some of the restaurants, but they're a different kind of competition. And without that, I think a lot of our events would not be as successful. So I'm kind of not in favor of doing anything with it right now.
Councilman Weisenberg.
I'm in full support of this and more information, but it would be nice to have. But I can tell you now that, I didn't exactly say they have no skin in the game, so you can understand that. What I did say, though, is they don't have to follow the exact same rules and regulations, which is 100% true, okay? You go to a restaurant, and they are regulated by the state fire, state health, and every other organization out there. Now, a food truck, a vending truck, is only regulated by the state health department. There's no state fire department or fire marshal regulating that, and that's where a safety concern comes from. There's a lot of issues. You know, I'm not saying I don't want food trucks in our town, but I want them to be able to have to follow the same safety protocols as what should be. And there's some national some national stuff on that they should be following, and they don't have to because they're not regulated other than the health department, right? So there's, for instance, a Class 1 hood. If you're frying foods, you have to have a Class 1 hood. It states in there you have to have a Class 1 hood, right? But they don't follow the same requirements that a local restaurant has to. And that's exactly what you're doing, is you're putting a mobile restaurant, right? 100% true. So they don't have to meet the same fire restrictions as a restaurant. They don't have to. The only thing they are doing is mandated by the state health department. I think we need to look into this and you know, put some. I'm not saying charge them a big fee, but we need to make sure they're on the same playing field, and it's about the safety and health and well-being of our community. And you can look up incidents. Prime example, there's one of a Philadelphia truck in Philadelphia, right? And because they didn't follow the regulations of an LPL monitor, you know, for their propane, it exploded the food truck and sent a fireball through the whole community of where it was at. And that's the part that needs to be regulated here is we need to make sure the safety of that aspect is in place. You know, I understand Music in the Park is a big event for these vendors, right? But put something in place where they have to follow the same aspect or a safety protocol of that. You know, they're not spaced out like a national recommendation would be 10 foot, right? Cage your generators, you know, stuff like that. We don't make that happen here. They don't have to follow them same regulations. I think it's an unfair due just to restaurant owners in our community. And I think we should regulate some of that.
Councilman Durst?
So I guess I don't understand what regulations are you asking for? Because on the flip side, a food truck doesn't have people going into and sitting down and being hosted thereby, right? You go to a food truck and then you walk away. So the playing field isn't level per se. They're different services with a different function. So what I'm asking specifically, what do you want? Do you want a fire code where somebody's going to go and have a new fire? I mean, you're saying you want regulation and you want it regulated. My question to you is, what do you want regulated? What is it you're asking for?
I think we need to sit with the state health department and the state fire marshal, right, and talk to them and say, what would you recommend? I have papers I can bring in and say, this is a recommendation also, and show everybody that also, right? But in the sense that you're saying they're not the same, I mean, they stand right there at the same place, right? They sit in a restaurant, I get it, right? But they stand right there 10 foot, 20 foot away from this as the same as sitting in a restaurant. So I think we need to put that safety boundary in place. I can present it with some information, you know, with the fire codes and stuff like that. But I think we really need to sit with the state health officer in our area, the state fire marshal that comes in here that does not regulate these, you know, and see what they recommend. They recommended, I talked to a state fire marshal and he actually said, cities are recommending that, or they're recommending cities to make this happen, you know, for the safety and health of the community. So I think that's the start, is we should get in contact with them people, sit them in a meeting, you know, talk to them and see what we can come up with.
Councilman Smith?
I would like to ask the fire chief a question, put you on the spot. Is there anything in our fire codes that would require fire extinguishers and already things in place that you enforce on these kinds of trucks?
We do no inspection at all from our standpoint, on food trucks at all. No, they are required to have extinguishers on the vehicle. They do have a cooking facility, but the big thing that I want to bring out is that you're looking at a fixed facility restaurant. with patrons going in, exit codes, life safety code, all this other stuff, and you have a mobile, which is not regulated underneath that same code. So although I understand the health and safety side of it, there's really nothing right now, even in the state fire marshal's office, that says, oh, they have to do this in order to be shut down. There is no jurisdiction with them, with the state fire marshal's office on food trucks right now.
So if we were to do anything, we'd be more restrictive than state law or regulations because there's a lack of.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
The state health department is who regulates those, right? And they go as far as trying to implement some of the fire codes in that. I mean, they have a whole list, a sheet of that. So that's who's regulating it. And it's recommended by the state fire marshal that a city or municipality work on that and do that.
And it is definitely something, if you'd like me to, I can look into personally. It's never been, like I said, even where I come from before, in different states, there's never been any type of real fire jurisdiction on mobile food trucks. So I'm definitely not against taking a look into it, talking to the state fire marshal's office, to see exactly what they have to say about it.
I'm totally against going out looking for a problem.
If it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Pretty much. Any further discussion? All right. We're back to you, Sean.
That's all I have on my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next thing is city council report, direction to city manager. I have nothing. Councilman Martinez?
I just want to take the chance to let the Public Works Department for doing the work they did on our streets this year. It's amazing. I rode around my ward and they just did, a real nice job, and I really appreciate that. That's something that we need to keep doing until we get them all done. And it's all over town. They just did a good job this year.
I'll pass that along.
Yep, Councilman Smith.
And I just want to add too that I'm grateful for the potholes being filled in on Edinburgh. I know that was a lot of feedback on that, and I thank the department for doing that. I also want to thank the Mr. Carney and the tour group for taking us out on a water tour and also giving us a tour of the treatment plant, because I felt like we gained a lot of knowledge that maybe we had forgotten, or, that brushed us up a bit on all the things that they're working with. And I am very impressed with Mr. Carney and how up to speed he was on all of our system. So thank you very much for that, Sean, and please pass that along.
And that sandwich was awesome. Either that or I was starving. All right.
Hey,
Councilman White.
Sean, obviously some of us couldn't make it due to other arrangements that had taken place and stuff. So is there another time that they are available for the rest of the council or others on the council that could go? Or is it just something we could individually schedule with you?
Best thing would be to schedule a time that it could be a group session, because it takes 5 to 6 hours to kind of do the whole tour. So if there was enough interest for, everyone.
Yeah, I would be on the list, yeah.
We could try and schedule.
Yeah, if we could figure out a date, I know winter's coming soon, so.
Maybe I think it was the 28th or something was the other date that was out there. I don't know, if that would work.
Okay, I'll see what I can arrange.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Next thing on our agenda is the approval of the payroll. Councilman Durst.
Before we move into business, can I have a 3-minute break?
Okay, I am going to declare a recess for
Thank you.
a few minutes.
I will be quickly.
Promise. Take your time, I'm gonna beat you there.
No, after you. Vice Mayor.
I know three bathrooms in this building, we'll make it. Thank you. Yep. The doctor finds it funny to medicate people.
Chris, is this the one you were talking about?
If she does take my picture again. And so it's like, every time she wants to see me in it. I'm gonna tell that.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Daryl?
Yeah, my brother, three of my family members in that area where it's congested. Wasn't on nights. If they would have passed that stupid trailer ordinance that I presented, which was the softest ordinance you could have found, it allowed them 6 months out of the year to leave their trailer on the street. But in the winter, they had to pull them off. People would have been happy. I got more calls down there. People that were upset. It's city market. I told them right that they wanted to bring it up, and we had to come before this council and bring it up.
It's kind of funny if you were on the same wavelength.
I had two sheriffs, two members of the sheriff's office, two county commissioners, two ex-mayors sitting in that meeting. There was a person who didn't disagree with what I said. They send it down here to this board. Recommendation right now. So just screw it up.
I was here for that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They could have made the changes that they wanted. I didn't care. We needed something to get those trailers.
Right, but now we need it to.
Just for the winter.
I took pictures that day that I was down there. I had over 75 pictures of either trailers, 8 trailers parked in the wrong direction, blocking sidewalks, blocking, like at one point, I almost ran a stop sign because I didn't see around the trailer.
My first idea was we had another young people that lived in that area that they just might support it.
I was really before everybody came back in and started recording.
My take is that.
Thanks for saving me again, Eric. You and I are always on the same page.
I'm about an hour and a half, and then I'm like, okay, meds are kicking in here.
Right.
I bet you had a long day, Kelly.
Commissioner's been forever. Till after 4.
Wow.
I think this is gonna, don't want to jinx us.
No, I know it's gonna go long, because it's always on the agenda. We're not even in the agenda yet, right? We're still.
And we're just getting to the meetings.
I love that.
Split the cost.
Yeah, no, I wanted someone to open there. That was cool. What is this?
I think I will have to take that to the store.
Does it make it worth all of the stuff you've had to endure?
I don't know about that.
I got a few more wine glasses or shot glasses.
Community that.
Yeah. Yeah, today's been a very long day.
Yeah, which
I've had mostly coffee.
do you like have to work a certain amount of hours, or if it
I'm a
just
salary employee.
so it just kind of when the job's done?
Right. Yeah, right, exactly.
So you get paid for your 80-hour work week. Or,
Yeah, I get.
but you probably sleep in the next day, right? Like
I
after
can't sleep in. I can't even sleep in to save my life. I'm a morning person through and through.
Me too.
And it doesn't matter if it's the weekend. Yeah,
I would love to
an interview
go
for
to
college teacher. They were
Just
asking that,
for
they're like,
people
you just
who
kind of are ready to work whenever.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
It takes so much.
I went on that tour with the council.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I wish I could have been there. It's my mom's birthday.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe if they're going to arrange another one, yeah. I
If they
would
feel they
definitely
want to run me out of here,
I
they
really
could.
want to. After having seen
It was
pictures,
so
that
meaningful.
was so different than I had anything in my head. I don't know what it was, but it was not any of that.
We got out at the first stop and we were like, oh, this is not a crime.
It's not a stream.
Over there.
I'm gonna send it.
Over there.
Beavers should dam up the
Yeah, I know, they've done it in the wrong spot. The beaver.
Darn it.
There was a point where like, I was talking to the engineer that was taking pictures of where the bubbles are coming up through the ground. And my foot is starting to see and they're talking about the void there. Oh, how there's a void void that can open up beneath us.
You just start walking backwards.
My left rear today is still covered in mud. Let it dry and I'll knock it off. Yeah, that was really something. It was equipment, it was mind-blowing, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just.
See, I thought we had a leaking wood pipeline that we had to ban all the time.
Yeah.
We had some leaks, but not everything.
Well, it's one thing to hear that there's a leak. It's another thing to see that, like,
Leak is.
outside of 100,000 gallon
Right.
leak.
Find out what it does
different than-
ecologically change to
Oh,
your
yeah. I
life.
bet it-
You know, if we had,
Literally, it just changed my
Yeah,
life.
willows and
if we had
ducks
people,
I'm
and
featuring my recorder because I have to
wildlife. I mean, there's
if we had
great
people that were
reserves
more,
out there, but
Right?
wrong things we do.
But now we might have to have the EPA come and find out that we can't do this because we changed the whole
Environment.
ecological
Don't let it-
dynamics
don't let
of
it-
everything.
Don't say
we had
that,
more
not
people that were
the
interested in taking care of the people of Rollins and would have came to these councils years ago and said, we got some problems here we need to fix. You better come up with some money. That'd have been one thing. We never did get any
And
information.
you know what, Aaron? It always turned out.
I drive up there all the time. I take a four-wheeler and I go up there with my wife and look for arrowheads in that country. And I know there was bad spots there. You could see the water
Yeah.
running and everything. But I'm not an engineer. I ain't gonna get up there and tell them how to do the water.
It should be the same as when you log in.
We pay money to get somebody to tell us that stuff.
And don't cover it up. Don't cover it up.
You know, you need to come up with some
Fun
fun.
is the problem with our brakes, because not let there.
Shall we go out and pull him in?
He has to stay, and then you
Try,
can go.
try.
If we were in Laramie, we'd be forced to quit right now at 9:00.
Really?
Yeah, they have their own little rules of the council that they
Like if
go
it
back.
hits so late,
If it doesn't matter what's on the agenda, if it hits a certain time, they're done.
Not a bad idea.
wow, that must have been from some real monster meetings or something.
Oh, I don't know where it was from, but I read their stuff and it caught my head because
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to
You can
stick
still
with
plan it.
any of it.
No.
I won't go out to try to stay up and watch or something until midnight.
Yeah.
Is the mayor fine?
But I guess it was important.
Oh, you're waiting for me. I was not happy to done.
That's why you should let me go first.
All right, I will call this meeting back to order. It's 9:07. And the next thing on the agenda is approval of payroll. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the August 1st, 2021 to August 14th, 2021 payroll register for $253,920.78.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the August 1st, 2021 through August 14th, 2021 payroll register for $253,920.78. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
I forgot to tell you. Oh, no, Mike. Just.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Next thing on our agenda is accounts payable. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve accounts payable register for the period of August 12th to August 31st, 2021, in the amount of $1,545,251.54.
Do I hear a second? Councilman Durst seconds. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve accounts payable register for the period of August 12th through August 31st, 2021 in the amount of $1,545,251.54. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 abstain. Councilmember Chris Weisenberg abstained.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is St. Thomas Episcopal Church request for a waiver on landfill fees for the Choir Loft store. I would ask for a motion. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve ongoing waiver on landfill fees for the St. Thomas Episcopal Church Choir Loft Thrift Store to be used as necessary through June 2022.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve an ongoing waiver on landfill fees for the St. Thomas Episcopal Church Choir Loft Thrift Store to be used as necessary through June 2022. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Epp, do you want to speak to this?
I can, sir.
I'm sure we're going to have some questions. Councilman Smith?
The only concern I have would be a question to legal counsel. And I don't mind helping the church at all and the choir loft, but is there a separation of church and state that we need to even consider? Or is that too far off the wall for me to ask?
Well, I think that's a great question. I don't know the structure of the choir loft. I don't know if it's a separate LLC or how it's structured, but that's pretty valid.
I can tell you that it was opened.
Go ahead and pull it down to that.
You can pull it down.
Sorry, I'm short. I can tell you that it was formed as a thrift store originally back in 1985. And the only thing that we're asking for is that we be able to, there are, as you've read the letter, people who leave their stuff because they don't want to go to the dumps and pay dump fees. And so every 8 to 10 weeks, we were trying to make a trip to the dumps instead of leaving it to the landfill, instead of leaving it on the premises or dumping it someplace else. We do take a lot of the glass, the books, anything that we can recycle. We do have people who pick up clothing that is not serviceable for rags at diesel mechanic shops and this type of things. But we're talking about broken furniture, broken car seats, this type of thing. And so we load it up and we're just asking, and it has been running between 400 and 500 pounds when we do go to the landfill.
At what frequency, Mrs. Ebb?
Between 8 and 10 weeks, we go.
So every couple of months you have 400
Basically,
to 500 pounds.
yes.
Is there, this is probably something we've probably already approached, but I'm real sensitive about people using dumpsters and using services that they don't pay for and such like that. Is there any way to stop these people from using you as the city dump?
We have put up fences, we have put up signs. We actually do use a dumpster. We have also put a lock on the dumpster so that we unlock the dumpster, put trash in it. But there's some things that just don't work in the dumpster. And so that's what we're hauling off. Is there any way, I'm sure if we put a fence around the property, they would throw it over the fence. I mean, it's gotten to be that place. There is another thrift store in town. I was there the other day and they said, oh, we can't take that. It's dirty. Take it down to the choir loft. Just dump it at the back door. And I immediately said, we are not the local landfill. And I would rather, the reason we're asking this is so that it doesn't end up out in the country or blowing around.
Councilman Durst.
Amy, I guess I would just ask, is there any legal issues with granting this with weird precedent or, because I would also argue, I used to have a business next to Cove and there was the same thing. You could go there in the mornings. I mean, there'd be a couch with 15 garbage bags just stacked in the back alley. They're just unloading it. So I completely see what's happening. They won't drive out to the dump. Well, I'll just take it to the thrift store. It's almost usable.
I know that
So
in,
if we could work with that, I think that would be a phenomenal idea.
I mean, there's several things about this. This brings up a larger problem too. I owned a business that I found the mattresses, I found the left side, right side, front, back of a camper in there once, tires they would throw in my dumpster. I'd have to get them out. In Torrington, I closed a business there and we had some trash and the dump was closed. I didn't know what to do with it. I went to a friend and I said, can I throw this in your dumpster? There was like 5 or 6 garbage bags. And he said, make sure that if anybody asks, you're working for me and that's my trash. Yeah, whatever. So Debbie and I go up the alley, we're throwing trash in the dumpster and cops come from both directions. Put your hands on the hood. And I'm serious, it's a $750 fine there. I said, wait a minute, this is Teddy's trash. And he said, he told me to put it in here. And they grabbed me by the arm and in I went. And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, that's my stuff. But we don't do that here. And I have had horrible luck with my dumpster. I don't have one anymore. But at my business, at the car wash, man, I'm telling you, I would find animal carcasses and, I mean, it was horrible. I'd have to get in there to, you know what I mean? So I understand what you're dealing with, but we need to fix your problem, but we also need to later on look at another theft of service is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do, but back to you, sorry. So what do you think?
Well, I think I had asked Amy.
Okay.
You know, they could have created a separate LLC that's a nonprofit 501c or 501c, and that would alleviate the church and separation question. So I think that would be an issue for us to try and delve into a little bit more. In the meantime, what you can request is that the police do an extra added watch on that area. And it's being broadcast right now, so we are alerting the public and knowledge that we are doing an extra watch on the fire loft for illegal dumping. I know that in the city of Laramie, they face similar issues, not with the church owned, but with the Salvation Army and Goodwill. And they have a very strict $750 penalty first offense period anyway as well. And that's what I would recommend. And then additionally, I think all of your landfill waivers in the past have set a maximum amount. So if the council is going to consider a landfill waiver, I would recommend that you follow that procedure. I don't know.
1,500?
1,500. Just to show that you're consistent in that.
Vice Mayor Wells?
I would make a friendly amendment to add the $1,500 limit
I'd
to
second
my
on that.
original motion.
So there's been an amendment of changing the language to a maximum of $1,500 per
Yeah.
The landfill waiver would be $1,500 maximum. So
maximum. For what period of time, though?
I don't think we need the timeframe anymore, will we, Amy?
no, not necessarily. If you're going to grant a one-time ongoing, you're saying when they hit that $1,500, the landfill waiver no longer is.
Okay, then you would have to come back and
That's what
either
I
renew
want.
it or we can fix
So,
it
no
some other
problem.
way. Sean, did you have something you wanted to say?
Just another question maybe for Nikki. Are there other thrift stores in Rollins that also do this too? Are there other businesses that have this similar situation?
I know there's one other thrift store in Rollins. I believe Councilman Durst went to that.
Yeah, well, there's the thrift store downtown.
And Cove, yeah, take
Yeah,
donations.
but I don't know where they're at now. They moved.
Cove moved.
Cove moved back to their original spot.
So, I don't know.
So it just might find being.
Still downtown.
I would argue that it's a bigger problem for businesses as a whole. Just people dumping in unpaid for containers is a problem.
So just my observation is, anytime that we provide an allowance like this, just make sure to be thinking, if we have someone else come to council, are you willing to do the exact same thing? Is my only point.
And we do have several thrift stores, but I don't know what their problems are. Councilman Smith?
I guess I look at it, if you look at it from the point of view that it's in the betterment of the community to keep the community clean and free of debris, then I think that has a higher threshold and would be probably something we could say that would, because, and forget the other issues that I brought up, but if we're called on it, we're going to have to do it for every thrift store and any other organization that wants to get rid of leftover garage sale items. So just be aware of that, but I'm
you
not
consider
opposing
the-
it.
Now, wait a minute. She has the floor.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not opposed to this at all. I just want to make sure that we're correct.
Councilman Martinez, you had your hand up.
All I have to say is that I think we have to take each case as they come. Let's deal with this case we got before us. I believe that we ought to give them a break on their landfill. And like I say, the next one that comes before us might be a different scenario. I don't know. But
The number's been 1,500. I mean, that's what the council has done for other organizations that needed a hand up. Vice Mayor Wells?
I was just curious, you guys consider it a nonprofit?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, with that being said, let's see, you made a motion to amend this, or
A friendly amendment.
so we probably should vote on the amendment first and then on the motion, correct?
And Chris seconds the first motion. So are you willing to second? The motion reads right now that Vice Mayor stated Then move to approve the ongoing waiver on the landfill fees up to $1,500 for the St. Thomas Episcopal Church choir loft thrift store.
Yes, and I seconded that.
Is that what you think?
Yeah.
And you're willing
So-
to second?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
So it's a friendly amendment, not a,
Yeah, I
okay.
said a friendly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Councilman Garner?
My question is for Amy. If we, I guess the same concern Councilmember Smith has. If we allow this, if any business comes in, do we have to do this for every business?
I don't think so. We're setting a precedent.
I think under the due process, or under the equal protection, if you have a similarly situated entity with similarly situated facts, it would set a precedent for that, but.
Because this happens at the theater all the time, and this happens at what is it? It's like the preschool that's right across the street. They got a big dumpster, people dumping in all the time. It's a big issue, actually. Talking with my mom, people dump illegally everywhere. And I'm just.
That's another issue. I mean, as a business owner, I had that happen to me a lot.
And if we do it here now, my concern is we're about to do this for everybody. Because
This is a nonprofit, but this is a nonprofit. But the difference is this is a nonprofit, and there's 2 other shots out because there's 2 other thrift stores. Anyway,
I'll tell you, on the money, on the $1,500, is that up to $1,500, is that correct? And then anything above that, the church would pay? Okay, I think that's a pretty good break, and they probably will never use it all anyway, but I would support granting them a waiver.
Councilman Weisberg, do you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna point out that I think the key here is that this is a nonprofit, and we need to help our nonprofits in the community as much as we can too, and this is a great way to allow that.
Maybe we can have the city clerk make sure to include that in the official minutes, the rationale for this award, so that it can be researchable later.
For a nonprofit.
The distinction that the council's making in this instance is that it's a bona fide nonprofit under the IRS. It's not a commercial endeavor.
Okay, any further discussion? Please open online voting. Thank you, Mrs. Epp. I appreciate what you do.
Good night.
Okay, thank you for waiting. Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you,
I want to thank you very much for that.
and thank you. All right, the next thing on our agenda is a bid for deconstruction, safe removal, transportation, reconstruction of structural retaining wall located at 1127 9th Street in Rollins. In order to open it up for discussion, I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
Move to reject for the sole bid received for failure to comply with statutory requirements. I would move that.
And a second? Councilman Garner seconds it. So there's been a motion made and seconded to reject the sole bid received for failure to comply with statutory requirements. And Lou, I will turn the floor over to you.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we did receive one sole bid, but we did not receive the retention, the 5%. So according to state statute, that was part of the requirements for the bid.
So will you re-advertise and
We will. That was part of the discussion. We want to re-advertise, and I know wintertime's coming. So anything that's disturbed due to the nature of the soil behind that wall, it has to be done right away due to the fact that any moisture that we get has a possibility of eroding that wall down into the neighbor's yard.
Councilman Weisenberg had his hand first.
What would be the time frame of this? I've drove by this and seen this wall, and it's kind of a scary situation for the neighbor, and with the neighbor having kids and stuff also. So
we'd like to move on it right away and just get it done as soon as possible. Like I said, we're getting into the weather here pretty soon, so the sooner the better. We don't want to open it up and have issues later.
So is it too big of a job to do it in-house?
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yeah, here it said if the council wishes to rebid the job, the wall will be fixed temporary during the interim. So if we fix the wall, then are we going to put a lien on the property? Because I think it would enhance the property if we fix the front, or if we're going to even do anything with it. It's enhancing a property that's probably in foreclosure. But to regain our monies back, are we going to put a lien on the property?
And as far as liens, the liens have gone away, so we don't provide services for that property until that bill is taken care of with the city.
So we're just out the money for fixing the wall.
Yeah, currently, this is same scenario that the city of Cheyenne's been working through. They're actually in litigation to try and get that. The city has taken steps for a number of years to advocate for specific legislation. It came to light at WHAM. The city has gone further in our attempts to try and recoup those costs than any other city has. We've shared our findings with the city of Cheyenne, and we, through that discussion, have identified every single step that the city could have taken to foreclose on that lien or foreclose on that property. And unfortunately, there's no recognition of that lien. So it's incumbent upon taxpayers, local governments, to really fight for that legislative authority to honor those liens. We're not even talking about priority. We don't even want to discuss priority of liens. We just want them to recognize it is a lien. So when that property is transferred, we are in line to recoup our costs. So essentially, where we're left is right now having no services being placed or being allowed on that property.
And
this is quite substantial. I mean,
yes, it is.
This is going to come out of the Dangerous Building Fund, the fund that supports our annual cleanups, that we use for displaced individuals through fire or something where they're not able to live in their house. We help them in those instances. This fund is driven, or was driven and funded primarily by the sale of municipal properties. And as you know, we're down to our last set of industrial lots and residential lots. After those are gone, there is no reoccurring fund for this. We have been able to be quite successful in trying to work on regaining those costs, but I can be perfectly honest with you, upstairs we probably have 6 parcels that we decided to go through that collection process, the foreclosure, the sheriff's sale, the quiet title action. We paid for collection costs, and in the end, we were not able to get to those properties or have those American title issues. It is an issue that, as more communities face, the pressure will be on to get that legislative authority, but right now, it's the city of Rollins, the first in line to say we need this.
Undue enrichment of for a property owner.
Absolutely, and just as the city of Cheyenne tried to pass an ordinance, the entire banking industry lobbied against it, and they had people from mortgage companies saying you're not going to get federally subsidized loans in your community if you pass this, and so there's a lot of lobbying on the other side versus where we are, it's taxpayers' money. The property, whoever gets, whoever the lien holder or the property owner are, they're getting unduly enriched by this. The property's worth more value than it is before, and the city taxpayers are not being reimbursed.
Right.
And then meanwhile, we're dwindling city funds with no reoccurring money to go back in to fund those costs. And it essentially costs the entire city because we're not able to create those opportunities for the cleanups as we used to and those types of things. And my big caution to the council is we do have a duty under health and safety to abate dangerous buildings, pass that code. But we also have to be mindful of we're running out of municipal properties. We're in checkerboard, we're essentially landlocked. And so once those properties are sold, we're going to have to start looking at the budget process to start funneling some of that general fund money back into that dangerous building fund. We're not there yet, but this definitely takes a big hit on that fund.
So what should we do? Or should we turn down this bid or should we take the bid?
I absolutely think you should reject the bid. The bid did not include the report from the structural engineer. And so right now, we have a bid, if you accept it, I don't have what I need to enforce that they're going to build it up to those standards and requirements. And in this instance, they failed to, under 15.1.113, they're required to post a 5% bid bond, and they failed to do that. So under state statute, it's a violation for us. So that's what I would say.
So continue to turn this down and then rebid it quickly.
Rebid it. I would say in the next instance, maybe leave it open a little bit longer. We had it released on the 21st and a bid opening last week. Where it requires a lot of labor for contractors, we need to give them a little bit more time to determine what the costs are for the block. How much is it going to cost for concrete? Can they get the concrete in? Those types of things. And typically contractors don't have that quick turnaround in a week or two versus if it's an equipment issue or if it's simply, we need 10 vehicles. They can identify if they can get that and what's their availability versus trying to determine labor and cost of material and then put it into a bid one. Maybe then we would get multiple bids, but that's it. So I know it's time sensitive. This definitely is an issue that needs to be repaired sooner rather than later. But I also understand just through the history of the bidding process and contractors, that issue. And we're also faced with right now, most contractors are cleaning up, they're finishing up they're under the gun to finish the projects they're currently under bid or for. And so they don't have the availability to draw what they're doing currently to start a new project. And this is quite a project. So we're running into that. We need to find the perfect contractor out there who's finished their job early, their projects early, and they have the availability to do this.
Okay, any further discussion? Please open online voting. Thank you, Lou.
Online voting has opened. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is the awarding of a recreational center recarpeting bid for the main lobby and offices. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the recarpeting bid for the Rollins Family Recreation Center in the amount of $19,264.12 for the purchase and installation of new flooring in the main lobby and the office areas.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the recarpeting bid for the Rollins Rec Center in the amount of $19,264.12 for the purchase and installation of a new flooring in the main lobby and the office areas. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, open online voting, please. That was easy.
Has opened. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is amendment opposing changes to the Rawlins Municipal Code, garbage, refuge, construction, demolition materials. I need to say this, that it has been drawn to my attention that some people feel that I have a conflict of interest because I occasionally work for Dirty Boys. I got an email about it, and I think I need to address it. I don't work full-time for them. I do some work for them. When they need it, I work for them. I haven't done any work for them for about 2 months. But if anybody feels that I have a conflict of interest in that area, I will step out of the room, and I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm serious. I don't want to be involved in something I shouldn't be. I will also point out that I have done work and still do work and have done work and signs for 189 businesses in this town. But if doing work for this business would disqualify me for being involved in this, I'll be more than happy to turn the seat over to Jacqueline and leave. So how do you all feel?
I just think it's could be seen as a mere appearance, and that's one thing that I think, so everybody understands the way I feel is any kind of mere appearance, of a possible conflict of interest. That's the reason I abstained from voting on the accounts payable, due to the fact that it's not illegal for me to vote or a conflict of interest. It's just a mere appearance. So that's my opinion.
My thoughts are, I get it, and I will always err on the side of not having the appearance thereof, but I would argue that you are not an employee, you're a contractor. So to me, that's a difference as well. Your main job is not their employment. Their employment is what you do for your job. Or, in other words, you do the same work for everybody that you work for. If somebody wanted a sign or whatever we're talking about, whatever business we're doing, you're doing the same projects for everybody. You're not working for Dirty Boys as a full-time job. They're paying you for a specific job, and then it's done and over. And that can happen once every 6 months. It can happen once every 6 years. You're not going in and clocking in 40 hours every week for them. To me, that's the difference.
And I think the only thing excuse me.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but my thinking is that what Mr. Weisenberg is saying is that if there's an appearance of a conflict of interest, that would be your decision, Mr. Mayor. If you feel that it's okay, go for it.
Well, I'm going to walk out of the room because that's what I should do. I'll turn it over to you,
If you feel
Jacqueline.
comfortable doing it.
I will do that. Just remember, I've done work for the city, for your business, for 189 businesses in town, but because I got a specific whatever, I'm going to walk out of the room and you can take care of the next thing. Thanks.
All right, so
We had a motion on the floor.
we don't have a motion
We
yet.
don't have a motion yet.
So, excuse me.
Sorry.
Construction and demolition
I
material.
would make sure that the official record is the full, our mayor and the council would have declared a conflict based on the mayor's.
Let me reread it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll read it when you finish. I'll just go ahead and read it for a motion.
Let me reread it so that they can. Just as a reminder, this is for ordinance first reading amending proposed changes to Rawlins Municipal Code, Section 8.08, garbage, refuse, construction, and demolition materials. Councilmember Durst?
So, I move to approve the first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance amending proposed changes to Rollins Municipal Code, Section 8.08, garbage, refuse, construction, and demolition materials.
And a second? Tabari, seconds?
I will second that for the purpose of discussion.
All right. Louis?
I'm ready to discuss it. Ready?
Oh.
I think,
Go ahead.
Want to discuss? Go ahead.
No, you tell us what,
Honorable Vice Mayor and Council, there's been a lot of work into looking at this to try and separate MSW haulers. And I think we changed some verbiage in that ordinance, which I feel that kind of separates what we're looking to do. So the proposal that we have is something that, like I said, there was a lot of words that were changed to accommodate this ordinance. So we'll just take our hits as they come and see what comes out of this.
Tabari?
yeah, and doing a lot of thinking about this and talking to the mayor and talking to different people. My thinking is this, and I don't know where the permit part comes in. It's $125 for a permit. I don't know if it's a legal thing. You have to have a permit in order to keep track of if they're bonded or not. But my take was to do away with the permit, keep the bonding in place, with a statement in our ordinance that says that if a person does not pay their bill, they lose access to the landfill. Does that sound?
And some of that verbiage isn't on this rough draft that was done.
And that's pretty much what I've come up with. And I don't know. The permit part was kind of bothering me. I didn't know if we did away with the permit, would that make it hard for us to keep track of people that have to be bonded?
So when you say permit, is that their license?
License permit, that 125 that they have
Because the
to pay.
MSWs will still have their license. So I believe that's every year.
Linda?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith?
I have some concern. I just want to ask about the language. You've got municipal solid waste hauler means any commercial entity whose business is collection of municipal solid waste / garbage. How does that relate to our incidental people who make a living, not a living, but do it 3 or 4 times a year for their neighbors and charge $20 that kind of thing, or somebody cleaning out houses or taking away tree limbs and stuff for people?
So-
Are they commercial or are they not?
So anybody that's as per hire, as soon as they go across that scale, they're going to be charged for what they're hauling out to the landfill.
Okay.
So that
Say
I
again
feel,
for me, Lou, I'm sorry.
when you hire somebody to, say, clean a house, clean a yard, anybody that goes across that scale is going to be charged the set rate of what's coming across.
But they're not a municipal hauler then. They're not like going around to every residence in the city on a scheduled basis to pick up refuge.
Right.
So they're not, so the little incidental person is not going to be charged $125 a year license and have to be bonded. They can just take the trash out and be pay for it as they go across the scale then?
Correct.
Okay.
Linda,
Yes.
I think the difference too is the MSW versus construction waste.
Okay.
Go
So.
ahead, Chris, was Councilman Weisenberg.
You're fine. So I have a problem and an issue with just regulating MSW and not regulating C&D. There's specific reasons, because you can throw in MS&W right into a C&D container and it's not even regulated. C&D can have hazardous material also, and that's what we're trying to make sure we have a bond on also for cleanups and stuff like that. And future bills and everything else. So I think, honestly, I think it should all be regulated. That's my personal opinion. Should have to be bonded to haul either or. I think the way that it come across originally when it was written up and we first reviewed this, I think with the commercial hauler and then the it was you know well, I can't remember the other one exactly what it was named, but
Self-generated.
Self-generator, I guess, right? So the way I read when it says a self-generator, right, it would cover people or individuals doing lawn care, right? That it would cover people doing home cleanouts and all that stuff, because they're actually going in there. It would be no different than them going in there and doing a remodel on a home. They're actually loading their own garbage and hauling it out at that point in time, where a commercial hauler don't touch the garbage and load it. So I think we were covered with the way that Amy had that reviewed and written up, and the first time. I think it was just, in my opinion, misconstrued through the other processes and everything going on. But I totally believe that we should regulate all garbage going to the landfill, though, not just MS&W.
Councilmember Durst?
So the problem with that is, how do you regulate that because of all the different people? Who's gonna have to pay the license and who isn't? So the reason of just dropping it and only going to MSW is so then you just have your commercial haulers, you license them, and then you don't worry about the rest because there's no way to pick and choose. That's when we started getting in the argument of, well, so what about the guy who does it 35% of the time versus the guy who does it 40% of the time?
And that was discussed, and Amy had discussed that about you cannot regulate off of a percentage of their business. She had discussed that, saying highly recommended against that, right? The problem is you have the way the words were, the way it was written in a commercial hauler. If you own a roll-off dumpster, you are considered a commercial hauler at that point in time. So it don't matter if it's going to MS&W or it's going to C&D. I think it's a matter of protecting our city, our community, in making that be bonded at that point in time. It's not about the fee, as Councilman Martinez had stated. It's about making sure we are going to be able to receive our payments and make sure the community's safety is taken care of also with the bond. That's how I see it.
Any other discussion? Councilmember.
So I just want to make sure of what it is that's put forward here, because my understanding of what was going to change is we were going to just make it so that only municipal waste haulers had to have a bond.
And that's what we're going
That
for.
was my understanding, is that was the change. So it's just to make sure that I mean, I get the change of words and stuff.
That was my understanding last time too, is that was kind of the direction that council gave us the last time we met, is to just do it essentially for the two haulers. That's their principal business. So we crafted it to accomplish that, and then now you can kind of see how that sinks in, and if you like that or not. So yeah, that was what we tried to accomplish for the discussion.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you. I also noted we changed the language to include non-payment too, as being able to cut off the services. So I think that was something that another person wanted in there.
I'm surprised we didn't have that to start with.
It's just an omission. But thank you.
Now, when we get back, I'm just going to get,
Councilmember.
we were talking about the $125 permit. We're just going to eliminate that. Does that sound? Is that something that we want to do? The whole thing started based on somebody was asked if they had a permit, and they didn't have a permit.
So I really don't know where the permit came in from.
That seemed like
You're talking about a license.
The license.
Yeah.
A permit that they come in here apparently and pay $125 fee
So that would be
once a year
The licensing
license.
fee.
for the license fee. Okay. Does that, doing away with that license fee, is that going to hurt anything in what has been presented to us now? Or is that something that we have to have to keep track of the bond?
I personally don't see the need to remove that fee. I don't think they care. It's such a small fee for a.
That's what I was saying. It just seems like do away with that. Don't make any changes at all other than we're going to add that wording that says that the city manager has the right to cut off a hauler if they don't pay their fee.
I don't think they were eliminating the $125. I think they were eliminating the bond.
I don't want to mess with the bond though. I didn't want to mess with the bond. It was
Yeah.
It was that
I
125 that
think
they
the
had
fee
to
is still in
pay.
place, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
The fee would still be in place, DeBarge.
yeah, everything would be in place.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes. For the two commercial haulers.
right,
Yes.
right.
And
Okay.
Amy was just making a good point, that there are costs associated by having them have a bond and, time involved with staff to process these things. And it's I think it's very reasonable, and I don't think that they.
Well, and what's important to me is that if the city or the residents of this community don't take it, excuse the language, in the shorts by not, somebody not paying. We had this happen before, and that got us in trouble. But there was no wording in our ordinance that said that anybody could stop that, and they didn't. I guess they could have, but they didn't. And so now it'll be in writing, and then we'll just continue the way we're doing it. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Council Member Smith?
I have a question mostly for Amy because I don't want to get into past legal matters, but wasn't there something in all of that stuff, for a better word, that it hinged on licensing, and therefore haulers needed to have a license in order for us to, yes. That's what I think why we have to have that 125 in there.
And
if I remember.
additionally, to answer Councilmember Martinez's, there is a state statute, or actually the Constitution, that the city cannot give credit. So essentially, the giving of credit should not have occurred. Even if it didn't include that in the ordinance, where there's a state.
It never should have occurred.
Right.
There's a state prohibition.
Oh, boy.
So-
Well, anyway, that's why we brought up the bond. That's why where the bond came in at that time.
Sean? Mr. Metcalf?
Yeah, essentially, I was gonna say the same thing. It really, it's nice that we put that language in there, but it's far more important that we just are monitoring and not allowing those things to happen from, staff's perspective. That's,
Okay.
yeah.
Councilmember Durst?
I just was gonna let you know, real quick, I just found this right here. So the city specifically reserves the right to deny and refuse landfill services for non-payment and will in all cases best serve the interest of the city.
That's what we want.
So it's in there.
Good. We got that. Are we in this discussion, are we eliminating that 125?
No.
No, that stays too.
That stays.
Everything stays intact except for that statement. Is that,
And the statement with the MSW.
okay,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, I can support that. Okay.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, just
Mr.
in
Metcalf?
quick summary, just to make sure, Councilmember Martinez, that really all that's being accomplished here is just it's setting these rules just for the two municipal waste haulers. And
Okay.
that's really what this would accomplish.
Okay.
So we're not considering any C&D hauler, waste hauler at all?
Not in this revision of the ordinance.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. All right. Will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Councilmember Weisenberg?
It just popped up.
Oh, okay, great, thank you, I apologize.
I was waiting.
Online voting has closed, the motion carries with 5 yeas and 2 not present. The 2 not present was Mayor Weisenberg, I'm so sorry, yeah, Weisenberg, and then Councilmember Gardner.
That's Mayor Wycombe.
Wycombe, I'm so sorry.
You want to color them? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Or did you want to keep doing the meeting?
I do want to get out of here
All
tonight.
right, we can blaze into the next motion while they're walking in.
I would like to be respectful. No.
Cold water. I need some water.
We'll get one probably. Work session.
Oh, boy. Ah, yeah.
I'll get one for the mayor. Thank you. Oh, we already have one. I'm almost done with one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good, so
thank you.
We're on G, the
There's-
resolution
is there any?
for change order.
All right.
Tag, you're it.
Tag, you're it.
No. I'll pass. Thank you.
Just in case that was so long out there, you forgot what we were doing. I fell asleep.
Okay.
I got 2 waters.
Oh, well, take one home.
All right.
Yeah, to put it in the
What do I do with my glasses? I can't see. Hang on. All right,
Change order.
we're on G. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Durst?
I move to approve change order number 1, adjusting the contract price down $31,950 to a new total of $1,880,352.
Okay.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a change order number 1, adjusting the contract price down $31,950 to a new total of $1,880,352. Is there any discussion?
good to me.
Sean, would you like to?
This is a nice one.
Yeah,
So does
of course you'd like to.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'm just, yeah, Mark is not here tonight, so it's, I mean, it's as straightforward as it is coming across, but it's just come under the current costs that we've allocated for the project.
Which project, can I ask?
This is the 2019 wastewater system improvement project.
Oh, okay.
This has come under that.
Alrighty. Any further comments? Councilman Weisenberg?
I just want to say thank you, good job to the city employees for getting this done and saving the city and the community money on this.
Any further comments? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed, the motion carries with 7 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is Community Development Block Grant, Flood Control Mitigation Intent Letter. Councilman, excuse me, I'm sorry, Councilman Smith?
I move to approve a community development block grant, CDBG, for flood control mitigation intent letter with the city of Rollins, Wyoming, doing a 10% local match of $50,000 and a request of $500,000 from CDBG.
Vice Mayor Wells seconds it. Okay. Been a motion made and seconded to move to approve a community development block grant for flood control mitigation intent letter with the city of Rollins, Wyoming, doing a 10% local match of $50,000 and a request for $500,000 from CDBG. Is there Any further discussion? And again, Sean?
So we do have an engineer doing some work on the FEMA mitigation and what hopefully we can reduce the floodplain. And however, if it comes back that we need to do some work to be able to mitigate our floodplain, then we could use this money to deal with those mitigation efforts. So
Okay.
we want to sneak this one in and see if we can get some funding for it.
Okay, any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the YDOT project. I would entertain a motion. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approval of the YDOT project B22-10008 located at North Higley Boulevard underpass for the Urban Systems Grant as recommended by the Urban Systems Committee at the August 18, 2021 regular meeting.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve, move to approve the YDOT project B221008 located at North Higley Boulevard underpass for the Urban Systems Grant as recommended by the Urban Systems Committee at the August 18th, 2021 regular meeting. Is there any discussion? Again, Sean.
So this was a good discussion at Urban Systems. It was very clear that the underpass was much more of a priority than the airport road just because of safety concerns for our residents. And so, and also, you know, getting this funding from Urban Systems is such a great thing for the city where we only have to put in $150,000, which we have budgeted right now, and where they'll, you know, pay for a very large portion of this project, about 90% of the project. So I think it's important for council to know that that came from Urban Systems and they support us moving forward with that project, and I definitely support it as well.
Okay. Vice Mayor Wells.
I just want to say I'm very, very excited about this project. I think it's going to be a huge addition to our city. Somebody that runs a lot of this neighborhood, I'm very excited that I'm not going to be hit by cars. So.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is a resolution for MRG grant. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve resolution for $750,000 SLIB MRG grant request for 2021 water collection system emergency rehab.
Okay, we've had a motion made and seconded to approve resolution for $750,000 SLIB MRG grant request for 2021 water collection system emergency rehab. Is there any further discussion? Again, Sean.
One amendment that we need to make, Amy just pointed this out. The budget source shows the general fund, and it needs to be the water fund. So just need to point that out. So this is an emergency request with SLIB. I believe the deadline that I heard today was the 16th that we need to get our application into them. And there was a reason for selecting 750,000, because I know you can, there's kind of somewhat of a strategy when you go to SLIB of how much you want to go. You don't want to go too overbearing with how much money they have. You don't want to go too low either. And when I visited with one of the individuals over at SLIB, and he gave me an idea of what they had to work with right now and kind of considered our project. And he said, you could probably 500,000 to 750,000. I'm like, well, let's do 750,000 and see where we go. So that's why that amount is in there. And this is another one of those no-brainers. If we get it, we're doing ourselves a huge service by getting this money. So we'd ask for your support with this so that we can repair the leaks on the concrete line, the still water line.
If in fact, if it goes to SLIB and it, whatever, when they go to hear that, please let us know so we can go there and speak on behalf of it, because it makes a huge difference in if we're in the room or not.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is, okay, I'm got it. Councilman Smith?
Yes, I move to approve the resolution amending ordinance 6-2021 to lift the freeze placed on the newly budgeted recreation planner position and allow for this position to be posted, advertised, and filled in accordance with the 2021-2022 fiscal year pay plan.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution amending the ordinance number 6-2021 to lift the freeze placed on newly budgeted recreation programmer position and allow for this position to be posted, advertised, and filled in accordance with the 2021-2022 fiscal year pay plan. Is there any discussion? John?
I'm just going to make a quick comment and then I'll turn it over to Jason. But I think it's very important that we're being mindful anytime we're talking about a new position, especially, just with where our budget is, the lack of the financial audit, all those things. So I appreciate Jason's essentially been creative in looking at his budget and how could we accomplish this, which is in line with the strategic plan without having to increase the budget at all. And so he's going to tell us how he went about it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, man, and that's it.
I'll explain this in just a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and Council. So first I want to go over some background information and then I'll explain this, the attachment I brought you. It didn't make it on the agenda, so I just wanted to, I'll focus on just a few things on that here in a few moments. So the background is the need to expand the recreation opportunities provided at the Rawlins Family Recreation Center was identified in the City of Rawlins strategic plan. This position would be key in obtaining the following strategic plan initiatives and projects: diversify indoor recreation and other activities, and revamp and increase recreation programming opportunities. So the recreation programmer position that's before you this evening has been approved by City Council for the current fiscal year budget. And real quick, I do want to flip over to the attachment I gave you just to give you a little bit of background, and you'll see a couple of pen marks over there. So when the Rawlins Family Recreation Center first opened, it had as much as 6 recreation programmers staffed. They were able to offer a huge variety of recreation programs, activities. They did outings, they did a lot more than what we've done, than what we're able to do now. And it's not just because of COVID, it's just because over the years, for whatever reason, the recreation programmer positions have kind of not been continued when somebody resigned or somebody retired. They just weren't filled again. So for the last several years, the organizational chart as well as the budget has not supported more than one recreation programmer position. And so I wanted to point that out, is it shows some history of what once was, and by having those additional positions, we were able to do a lot more for the residents in this community. And I will say that that is one of the first things I noticed, and the first things talking with our staff. What's the good, what's the bad, what do you like about what we are able to offer, how can we be better, how can we do more? And this, having an additional position was one of the first things that I sort of identified as, wow, we should try to make that happen. So I guess I'll go through the agenda and a little bit more explanation. The staff analysis would be that we recommend that the freeze on this position be lifted to allow the hiring of this position. This would allow for the planning and implementation of additional indoor recreation and other activities for the upcoming winter and spring, so right around the corner, but as well as year-round. This position is vital to obtaining those objectives that we had identified in the strategic plan. So I'll bring it up again. While preparing for the current fiscal year budget last March, April, May, June, we decided to get, I don't want to say creative, but we identified the importance of adding a new position, but we wanted to do so without really affecting the bottom line of our budget and without increasing our budget. So what we did was we made reductions in our seasonal employee budgets. So our parks and green space, our golf course, and our recreation center has seasonal employees that work usually, April through August, September, sometimes October. We really kind of looked at those budgets and the need of what we needed to make those things happen, and we were able to make some reductions in our seasonal budgets throughout those departments, which that next page will also kind of show you a breakdown. More importantly, what I want the council to know is that by reducing the seasonal, we're not going to see that it affects the way we maintain our parks or the golf course or what we offer at the recreation center. If anything, it'll enhance what we're able to do for the community. So we're not taking away from staffing that would be out in our parks and maintaining them. There's some staffing that we haven't actually hired in the last several years because we haven't had that many seasonals on, and we've made some adjustments to our organizational chart prior to my start here to get the proper maintenance that we need for the parks. We also anticipate additional revenue from this position because they're going to be offering, or we are going to be offering, new recreation opportunities, as well as we anticipate an increase in recreation center membership through this new position. So therefore, bottom line is we don't see that there's going to be any financial impact to the city to hire this position. So the pros and cons, I don't have any cons, but the pros would be having the necessary staff to coordinate and implement additional recreation programs, events, and opportunities in the Rawlins, for the Rawlins community. These programs and events will bring in additional revenue to help the operation of the Rawlins Family Recreation Center. And these new classes and ideas that we have could be leisure classes, they could be dance, they could be fly tying, they can be taekwondo, self-defense, things like that. They can also be things like more winter and sports and fitness programs. We can do we could do trips and tours again. We can do a lot more special events. We can do youth camps, things that we feel like what we've heard from the community that they would like to see us do for them as well. So if anybody, that's all I have. Unless anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Councilman Weisenberg?
I guess just so I can understand the budget coming from the reduction of the employees, I guess, in the Parks and Rec is just positions that's not been filled for a while now. It's not current positions, because what I fear is that in any department, when you start running lean and don't have the budget to hire the additional seasonal, or we'll run into a staffing issue of people just leaving because they're being overworked. That's what I fear with reducing that kind of budget. The other thing I fear is, we got other projects that need to have priority right now for sure, and we need to look at that stuff too. But I think the audit is, in my opinion, we need to wait until that audit comes through.
Would you like me to address?
Yeah, I mean, you can on the.
So what I was going to say is when we looked at, for example, when we have our seasonal positions throughout the Parks and Green Space, let's say it's 12 that's been budgeted for to work 6 months. What we've identified this spring and summer and early fall is that we did not actually hire the 12. We hired, I think it was, let's say it was 7 or 8. And what we've noticed is that by restructuring the way our staff has, by hiring the parks superintendent and having an assistant superintendent, we've actually been able to do more with fewer seasonals, and we've proven it, I believe, this spring and summer. So I really don't believe that it's going to create any shortfall in how we maintain our parks.
Sean?
Just another comment I'd like to add to this is, I really like this idea. I kind of view this as like a business incubator, because you're taking a business, for example, say it's a ballet business, and they want to offer their first class over at the rec center. When they're there, they're getting all sorts of exposure that they may not have had before, and that can increase the amount of people that they're getting coming to their business. And then after that initial one, they can bring it back to where they're at, and it's giving them extra people to come to their business, and we're helping their business grow. And for me, we're going to be working on the economic development, and I think this uniquely does that. Like, I think it's a really cool thing. So I just wanted to add that in there.
And I would say, just kind of speak over one of the other challenges that we've faced over the past, I guess 2 seasons that I've been here, for summer seasons, we struggled with applicants for seasonal employees. And so that is why we haven't been able to fill those positions. They've been available, but we haven't been able to fill them anyway. And so for me, it seems like this is the best choice of going forward. We have enough to cover. We've been able to work some things to cover exactly what we need. But we've had that additional funding out there that has just been there. So it'd be nice to be able to put it into a programmer and actually put them into these types of things to offer more to our community.
The only thing that bugs me is the speculation part, and that is the additional programmer membership revenue. It's not like over the moon, but it's not a guarantee. I don't know why I said that, but I noticed that.
I mean, in all fairness, neither's your grant writer.
True.
I'm just saying, we are investing in a program to grow.
Yeah, I agree. But it's like when they say it's not going to cost anything because of this. Well, because it isn't like we got rid of $60,000 of for sure money.
It's budget neutral.
We're getting, well, if the predictions are right. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying I'm against it. It's what I noticed.
And I agree, it's not a guarantee, but I really do believe that that number will increase in the next few years as that program gets established and as the community, because this is a lot bigger than just this position. We really want the recreation center to be that one-stop shop for recreation. We want the community to know, and they're going to know through the strategic plan. We're doing a newsletter, recreation activity guide. We're going to do a boost on membership coming up soon. So it's really a bigger picture that this is one part of, and that's really expanding what we offer for our community.
Any further, Sean?
Economic development, just to go on what I said before, it's a really big picture sort of thing. And when I see from our community survey that we did that there's community members that are like, man, we don't have recreational opportunities here, especially in the winter. You can attribute that to your desire to want to come to Rollins. And so this is part of economic development to me is I think Jason can really, really enhance that with this position. And that's another reason a business might be like, or their family members might want to come to Rollins and set up a shop here. We're doing a good job with that.
I think that's a really good point, and I should point out that think about a family moving into a new community, and what are the first few questions they're going to ask? In my mind, they're going to ask, how are the schools, and what are the recreation opportunities? That's at least in the top three. If you do some research, you'd probably find that that's true as well.
Councilman Durst.
So first I want to make a joke about, well, next time you move sometime soon, you'll find that out, you know. So is this person, do you kind of already have some, is this I don't know the phrase I'm looking for, but a professional, like, are you going to hire somebody that has some education and training in this, that the idea would be bringing them in for their knowledge to expand some programs on top of maybe some ideas that we already have? Is that kind of the general idea?
That is absolutely the goal. We did hire, we replaced somebody who resigned for our current recreation programmer position recently. We had some fairly good candidates, one of which was not offered the position, but who might be interested if another one was offered. They were kind of the number two, but they do have a degree in Parks and Recreation Administration and a year or two under their belt working for a city. They're a few states over. But we are hoping that we will find somebody with that experience. However, if we don't, between my knowledge and the knowledge of Patty Hayes, our recreation superintendent, I have no doubt that we can train that person to do what we're looking to do. We've actually already started the process. Actually, Friday evening, I met with 4-H and a couple of members who teach fly tying classes, and they're interested in teaching some fly tying classes at the rec center. A few weeks back, we met with a owner of a dance studio who's interested in doing some dance classes and Pilates and other things at the rec center, which kind of goes with what Sean was saying. And the idea is, well, let's reach out to some of these businesses and say, let's do beginning dance, beginning ballet. That's all we're going to do at the rec center. We have a kind of a different group of people that we hit through our website and through our recreation programs, get them interested in that ballet. And then you want intermediate or advanced ballet or dance, you go back to that studio, which is that business downtown, you know, that we want to also support. And it's a great way to support. I want to be clear that it's definitely, we are not wanting to create any competition with local businesses. We want to work with them. And I think this is a great opportunity to do so. We just don't, honestly, we've started the process. We are implementing a few new programs without this position coming on board or without the knowledge of knowing that it is, because we feel passionate about offering a few more things. But we're a little reluctant to really jump forward and really dive into what we want to do, which is part of the strategic plan, but also part of reaching out into the community until we know we have the staffing. Because I really, the last thing I want to do is add a lot more to the plate of our existing employees and let them get burned out. We want that passion and that excitement when we offer new programs for the community.
Councilman Smith.
Yes, thank you. While I share Councilman Weisenberg's concern over the audit issues and the fact that we don't have one yet, I still want to point out that the seasonal, it's going to be 8 months before we have to dip into any budget for any seasonal hires. That's about April. So you've got 8 months that, well, there's 4 positions you didn't fill on seasonals. We also basically put it in the budget already, in the one that we approved. We just put a freeze on that. So I think the only thing we need to do is, he's already convinced us we needed it and that it would be a good thing for the Parks and Rec Department to have it. And I guess while I'm nervous about that audit, I still feel like by the time you get someone on board and everything, the money's going to overlap and it's not going to have an issue with it. So that was what I would like to offer.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
And Mayor, can I ask you one question? I did not get the second. I know Councilmember Smith did the first.
Vice Mayor Wells.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I apologize. Online voting is open.
I'm excited for it. It's gonna be awesome.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 nay, and then 1 nay was Councilmember Weisenberg.
Okay, thank you. Next thing on the agenda is the dog park discussion. I will, there is going to be no action taken. We're just going to discuss it, I guess, correct?
That's correct.
So I will turn the floor over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. So we put together some preliminary cost estimates for dog parks at 4 different locations. I'll get into it a little bit further here in a moment. These are just a few locations for us to consider to develop a dog park. We would be interested in hearing other options and other suggested locations that are not on this agenda this evening. I'm going to skip down to the background information and history. So at the August 17th, 2021 regular council meeting, staff presented to council a donation in the amount of $10,228.14 from the Wyoming Community Gas for a project of council's choosing. Thank you, Wyoming Community Gas. So staff reported that these funds have been designated for a variety of projects in the past, such as relighting the Star on the Hill, mural preservation, and most recently, which is last year, $10,322.95 for a future dog park. Staff's analysis was that if council would like, they could designate the current donation of this year's donation to a future dog park, bringing that total from last year up to $20,551.09. So attached to the agenda, there's attachment A, B, and C for preliminary cost estimates, including phases for each location. They're only estimates. This is all preliminary. This is kind of an open discussion to talk to council to see which direction we'd like to go. So if you go a couple pages in, there's the Old Penn location. And I'd like to say about that, I did reach out to Tina from the Old Penn and had a nice discussion with her. And she's let us know, and I kind of heard the buzz around the community too, but that at this time, the Old Penn Joint Powers Board, who basically operates that property right there, is not interested in seeing that develop into a dog park. So I'm suggesting at this point we pull that off the table and we go to the next few properties that are in the agenda item. Unless anybody has any questions, comments about that. So the next attachment B is Key Club Park, which is the southeast corner of the cemetery. The general information is that it is city owned. There's a potential for 1.9 acres of a dog park. It's pretty centrally located in Rollins. We would only need 610 feet of fencing because half of the fencing is already done, of the border fencing anyways. There's some more fencing with transition areas and things like that. Parking might need to be improved. There is parking along the street. Not sure how that works with dogs and not having a sidewalk on that area. But the existing parking, I think, can be improved. Right now, there's parking on the north side of that lot, and there's no parking. Well, I guess there's sort of parking on the south side, but there's also a basketball court there. So I think for a pretty small amount of funding, we could also make improvements to the parking to that area. So annual maintenance is not quite known. I will say that the eastern portion of that property is already an area of turf, and it's probably as wide as the council chambers for the length going north south. Already has irrigation, we already mow it, so it's not going to take any more time for us to maintain that. The rest of the park is just kind of open native grass and shrubs, and so that either could be left open. I think a lot of it would have to be mowed and knocked down, but that's something that could probably be mowed with a brush hog once a month, and eventually it'll kind of knock itself out. And my experience in dog parks, I have managed a few dog parks in the past, is a lot of times with any kind of turf or grass area, the dogs sort of keep that down. You don't have to mow as much as you would your lawn. And so we're not, at this point, anticipating adding any turf. I think right now, that's the last thing that the city's thinking about doing, is adding turf, adding irrigation, until we figure out the whole water thing anyways. So there are additional improvements that could be made at this to make it a kind of a more welcoming dog park, and that's a staging area for the entrance. And the idea behind that is you walk up with your dog or dogs, and instead of having just one gate that opens to the entire dog park, so you open the gate for your dogs and somebody else's dog runs out and it gets loose, you have a small staging area. So you have a gate that opens into a staging area, and you close the gate behind you, and then you have another gate going into the dog park. It's just kind of checks and balances to make sure somebody's dog doesn't go taken off. The other option is having one area for small dogs, one area for large dogs. A lot of parks do this, not all parks do this. It's another option. That would cost additional fencing. And then there's talk about artificial turf, and some other parks do this as well. They make a great turf that basically, you put probably a bunch of gravel underneath, and it's porous, so the dog pees or anything like that, it goes through the turf into the ground. You spray it down or whatever, and you don't have as much of an issue. And there's examples of this turf lasting for 10 or more years. So that could be an option, even if it's maybe just a staging area or more. I guess what I'm trying to get at is we can spend this much on a dog park, or you can spend this much, depending on how the council and community would like to go. Other dog parks also have small water pools for dogs, and then interactive play structures, little climbers, runs that they can go through, all kinds of things. You can just Google dog park play equipment and you can see all kinds. So for this property, phase one would be to install about 600 feet of fencing and a gate for the entrance, and then park signage and park rules. And we believe that could be done for around $11,000. And that's actually not doing it in-house. I'd probably rather not utilize our existing crew. While they're talented and they can do just about anything, it would take away from everything else that we're trying to focus on. So we'd probably contract out, and that's anticipated with that cost. And then phase two could be install a 100-foot by 30-foot fenced-in staged area. So the fencing and gate for that would cost about $2,500. And then phase three, and I guess I should point out, these are not phases in order, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're, if we want to do 1 or 3 or all of them, it's to the council's choosing. Phase three could be install separate runs for small dogs and large dogs. So that would include an additional 280 feet of fencing plus a gate for the estimated cost of $4,600. Phase four could be install interactive play structures and dog equipment. I threw $8,000 down there. You can get a fairly good amount, but you could spend $20,000, you could spend $6,000. It depends on how much we want to really do on something like that. And then also I added the 900 square feet of artificial turf for the transition area, estimated at about $4,500. So to do all these phases, they're broke down, the subtotals are broke down each, but the total for this would be $30,600 to do all of these improvements. And then behind that, there's kind of a photo that shows you a little bit about where things might happen if we were to pursue this as a possibility. Council have any questions about Key Club? All right. So the other, I was asked to put together a smaller dog runs for other park locations. And there's two ways to look at this. This could be done whether we have a larger dog park in Rollins or not. It could be an addition. Or if funding was an issue and we wanted to try to get something sooner than later, these could be an option. I think as I look at the maps behind here, Bolton Park, that might be an okay location. Washington Park, the location I identified, really walking around out there, not sure if that's going to work. I just kind of threw it out there. Maybe there's another part of Washington that could work. or maybe there's another park that might be a better area to focus on. But the basic idea, what I was hoping council would consider is that to get about a 6,000 square foot area, which would be, for example, 50 foot by 120 foot run, would cost about $7,000 for the fencing and gate. Just basically that. This idea sort of comes from larger cities. A lot of times larger cities, large apartment complexes, lots of blocks of concrete, no parks. A lot of times they do little dog runs on little alleyways and things like that. So you have a place in the middle of the city to run your dogs. So I don't know if this is something that would fit Rawlins or not. But I wanted to put that out there just to give council all the options that we could think of at the time. So there are a few other options that have come to light in the last few days, but I wanted to kind of get council's idea, and maybe I think maybe in a future council meeting that Wyoming community gas funding might come back to council, because the other option is not to allocate the funds from this year to a dog park. The council could, if they wish, could allocate those funds for any project, basically. So this was to help give council an option for that funding. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
There haven't been any other projects brought forward for that money. I don't mind doing a dog park. I'm not into that, but it doesn't give me a heartburn to do it because people have been talking about it for a long time. But I do think, number one, we need to stay within the 20,000. I don't want to pay more than that for sure. Because next year when we get those funds, I want to do something else with those funds. As far as where it's at, it's really hard to pick a place that is centrally located or that everybody will use, but the 30,000, I don't like that, just so you know. I think we should limit it to the 2 years funding. I don't want to spend the third year's worth of funding on it at all. That's just me.
I mean, I'll just say, I think that's great. I think we just slowly keep looking at these different places and different ideas. And I think just keep building on this and it will come to something. I think this is the beginnings of where we get it though. I think this is a perfectly good starting point.
Food for thought. It is. Councilman Smith.
I just drove by Grable's, and they had a little fence around it. It's probably about 125 feet long, maybe 70 feet across, dirt in the middle, but they were burying the tires so that the dogs could run through the tires. So I thought, I got to remember to tell people that. But when I look at this looks like a first-class dog park. I like the idea. I don't know about Key Club Park, but it seems to be centrally located. It has the right kind of space. The only thing that I don't think that Key Club Park is part of the cemetery. I think that's over, so we're not taking anything from the cemetery. And I know that the price is probably more than the mayor would like to put in there, but I like the idea of Key Club Park. But I also like Bolton. I like the little tiny ones at Bolton and Washington Park too, because people do take their dogs up there. And when there's not events and things. So anyway, that's my feedback.
Councilman Weisenberg.
Yeah, I want to say thanks for presenting these ideas. I do like Key Club Park. I think it is a top-notch idea. I'm not opposed to spending the extra money also to make it a top-notch place so we could have that kind of amenity offered to the community. So just keep plugging away at the ideas like Councilman Durst said, and we'll come up with something good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean again.
Sean, yes.
For the next time that we bring this up, and you want us to maybe, we'll bring what we believe is, say, our top 3, these are the ones that we love the most, and then have a vote on it. That'd be okay. Just so we can make some progress on it.
Yes.
We'll go through that and see how.
Okay. All right. The next thing on our agenda is an executive session. Who wants to read all that?
Holy cow, it's at 10:43, we're going to an executive session.
Yeah.
You won't get out of there till 1.
Well, there's pillows. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to enter into executive session per Wyoming statute 164405. Consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law, and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice, or dismissal of a public officer, professional person or employee, or to hear complaints or charge brought against an employee, professional person or officer, unless the employee, professional person or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness any or all other witnesses in the matter being investigated following the hearing or executive session. The governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to do this, and I'm not going to read it.
What are you for?
Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell happened.
Downstairs.
Downstairs?
Diapers.
Damn, do they need boxing gloves?
I think so.
Taking them downstairs.
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me water. Minnesota fire. So